Chapter 712. On the surface of the lake. Ching Ro and Wan Er's attitude became much friendlier. Without this man in front of them, they wouldn't even be able to survive, let alone regain their freedom. During their time together, he had earned their respect and trust. Wan Er hurriedly asked, "Senior, no. Senior brother, did you follow that white fox to its world?" Gu Qing Shan smiled bitterly. White fox? How many seconds did the white fox survive in front of Buttercup? Against the 900 million world layers, who could predict what would happen in the next second? At the time, after Ching Ro and Wan Er left, the entire situation took a sudden turn for the worse. So how could he explain it all in a short amount of time? I had a fight with someone, then a few things happened. I'm afraid it'll take a long time to explain. It's fine. Senior brother doesn't really know how to explain it. Let's talk about it later, Ching Ro said considerately. It's not that I don't know. It's just that I can't explain it in a short amount of time. First, tell me about what happened in this world. I'll tell you about me later, Gu Qingshan said. The two girls nodded. Gu Qingshan then asked, "What happened to the person who impersonated me?" Wan Er answered, "He was imprisoned by Shifu. The Alliance's Elder Council came this time to ask for him. They still dare to ask for him?" Gu Qingshan asked. "That's right. They used the excuse that they were secretly investigating the next leader candidate. That's why they sent people here," Ching Ro replied. "Choosing someone to impersonate me and secretly investigate my Shifu. That's quite the thought." Gu Qingshan coldly laughed, her tone already carrying a bit of killing intent. Ching Ro continued. Shifu had already used many methods against that person, finally finding out that he came from the Cultivation Alliance and represented the Alliance's Elder Council. Wan Er also added, "If it weren't for the necessary considerations, Shifu would have already killed him. What were those people's goals?" Gu Qingshan asked. "To further understand everything about the 100 Flowers Fairy, to understand the strengths and weaknesses of this world's cultivators, to collect information on weapons, armors, and formations." "Oh?" Gu Qingshan silently chuckled and asked, "Which means they're trying to find my Shifu's weakness or weakness?" "Exactly. Speaking of which, the person who impersonated you once did something." "What is it?" "He tried to take Xiao away." Gu Qingshan's heart skipped a beat. Seems like he really did discover Xie Daoling's weakness. In the past, when Xiao was captured by Xie Daoling's mortal enemy, she didn't reveal any information about Xie Daoling even after being tortured, which was how Xie Daoling managed to escape. After Xie Daoling became a saint, she finally got her revenge, only to find that Xiao had fallen into the enemy's hands and was barely breathing. Xiao was Xie Daoling's master's orphan. Xiao protected Xie Daoling's life. So no matter what, Xie Daoling wouldn't allow Xiao to come to any harm. If Xiao was captured, Gu Qingshan couldn't imagine what Shifu would do. "Is Xiao all right?" Gu Qingshan hurriedly asked. "What a coincidence. At the time, we had just returned from the suspended world, so we followed what you said and found Bai Hua sect. When we entered Bai Hua sect, both your Shifu and first brother weren't here. Second brother Qin Shaolu saw that we were related to you, so he made the decision to have us stay in the sect until 100 Flowers Fairy returned, and then, that's right, we just happened to run into this matter. We thought that you wouldn't be able to return so quickly, and this person has a weakness. Furthermore, Xiao is also your junior sister, so we picked a thorn and stopped them." "How did you find a weakness?" Ching Ro covered her mouth. "We said that he was a pervert who took his junior sister out to do something to her." Wan Er smiled. "Because we tried to seduce him before, he tried to do something to us, so he thought that was what we really thought. So he didn't dare to take Xiao out." Ching Ro spoke in relief. "Fortunately, in order to perfectly impersonate you, the person who impersonated you didn't have a high cultivation. Even if they fought, they wouldn't be able to win against us." Gu Qing Shan sighed in relief, then spoke with a bit of fear. "Fortunately, before you returned, I had already removed all the seals on your bodies." Hearing that, the two girls nodded. They were both Tribulation Realm cultivators, so dealing with an Ascended Realm cultivator was a piece of cake. "After that, your Shifu returned," Ching Ro explained. "As your Shifu recognized us, she immediately asked us about you, because there was someone impersonating you We decided to have her use soul reading to understand the whole thing, to avoid any more complications. Your Shifu was very grateful to us for saving Xiao Xiao, as well as grateful that we worked together to deal with Qi Yin and Shenwu World. So she asked us if we wanted to stay, since we didn't have anywhere else to go. And since you and your Shifu are both good people, we decided to stay. Gu Qingshan cheerfully spoke. You're welcome. In truth, staying at Baihua sect is the best thing for you. We also thought the same, Qingro replied. Compared to before, the days we're living now are truly like deities. One heir sighed emotionally. Qingro waved her hand. The airship slowly landed on the surface of the lake. Senior brother, let's go. We need to hurry back to the sect, she said. That's right. We need to bring you back to help, One Air also said. Help? Gu Qingshan immediately asked. This was the day he had the most questions of all. Because he had been away from this world for too long, he needed to quickly gather as much information as he could. Qingro explained. Shifu has only just become the leader of the Alliance. So many people in the Alliance are still unconvinced and want to do something. Are those people still at Baihua sect? Gu Qingshan asked. That's right, the Council of Elders and Shifu are currently discussing how to deal with the impersonator. They came prepared. Gu Qingshan closed her eyes and thought for a bit, then said, with Shifu's personality, if someone impersonates me, she'll kill them right away, and if someone wants to deal with Xiao Xiao, she won't let them go. He asked further, why is she discussing this with those people right now? Qingro replied, we don't know the specifics, but it seems to be because of the fusing of worlds. Shifu has to rely on them. That's right, Shifu seems to be very helpless, One Air also said. Gu Qingshan silently nodded. That's right. Shifu needs the Cultivation Alliance's quota to not break the rules of the 900 million world layers when she fuses several worlds together. According to Miao, without the quota, anyone who fuses more than 2 worlds will be directly erased. The two girls exchanged glances. Then Qingro told Gu Qingshan very seriously. At a time like this, both One Air and I feel that it's best if you're here. You trust me that much, Gu Qingshan commented. One Air smiled sweetly. Senior brother was able to deal with even such a dangerous situation in the suspended world. So as long as Senior brother is here, you'll definitely be able to help Shifu. Qingro also agreed. That's right, all right. Let's go and meet them, Gu Qingshan said. The two girls replied at once. Yes, Senior brother. The airship turned into a streak of light, flew across the sky, and headed towards Baihua sect. Baihua sect, the Grand Hall of Conference. The 100 Flowers Fairy, Xie Daoling, was wearing a bright green feather dress, sitting on her throne of 10,000 flowers. A cultivator was tightly bound by chains, kneeling at a corner of the hall. From his appearance, he looked exactly the same as Gu Qingshan. At the center of the hall, 8 old men were arguing with Xie Daoling. They were all elders of the Cultivation Alliance, highly respected and responsible for the various matters of the Alliance. Even the leader of the Alliance had to rely on them in order to accomplish many things. One of the elders spoke, Xie Daoling, you're the leader of the Alliance. Why must you make things difficult for a mere cultivator? Xie Daoling coldly replied. He pretended to be my disciple and tried to pry into this world's secrets. Do you think I should just let him go? Another elder spoke. That's not the case. He was sent by the Alliance to investigate whether or not you had any relations with the Demon Nation. The Alliance is doing this in order to select a leader with a clean identity. I hope you can understand, Xie Daoling nodded. I can understand that, but I've already searched his soul. Although some of his memories are sealed and I can't see them, I can clearly see that he tried to take Xiao Xiao away. Xie Daoling coldly spoke. Try to kidnap my disciple. Is that also the will of the Alliance? The elders all had awkward expressions and went silent. This completely tore away the veil and exposed their plan. Xie Daoling, we don't want to tell you what to do. We only want to understand you better through your disciple. After that, your disciple will be sent back to us. One of the elders tried to persuade her. Another elder said, in the past, in order to become the leader of the Alliance, the Dalord of the Tai House Celestial Kingdom took the initiative to hand over his son to my sect to be my closed-door disciple. Actually, you can learn from him. That's right. That way, everyone will be on the same side. There won't be any more trouble, another elder vaguely reminded her. Indeed, that is the case. That makes sense, Xie Dao Ling shook her head. If that's the case, I don't mind being the leader, and I don't want to stay in the alliance any longer. You can all return. The elders looked at each other in dismay. Who knew things would turn out like this? This Xie Dao Ling. Why can't we even talk properly? But more importantly, if Xie Dao Ling doesn't want to be the leader, who will? The alliance is about to fall. If she backed out, those who supported her would definitely fall to her side. Then, they would use this matter to deal with them harshly. No, I can't let that happen. I have to subdue this woman today. One of the elders spoke with a serious tone. Xie Dao Ling, let's just forget about this. We can concede a lot of authority to you, but from now on, we hope that you will clearly understand one thing. The quota that the Alliance uses to fuse worlds is actually in the hands of our Council of Elders. Xie Dao Ling couldn't help but frown. Indeed, this was her biggest problem. To become stronger, she had fused several worlds together, but only after that did she hear that doing so would bring disaster to both herself and her world. Without the Cultivation Alliance's quota, everything would be over. A while later, Xie Dao Ling asked, "Then, what about this person who pretended to be my disciple? He must be handed to us, because he is one of us. He cannot die in your hands." The elder spoke without hesitation. When Xie Dao Ling was about to say something else, her expression changed. The 8 elders also paused. They looked towards the entrance of the palace, only to see a young sword cultivator standing at the entrance, curiously looking around. Gu Qingshan, the real Gu Qingshan. At this crucial moment, this disciple of Baihua sect had returned to this world. "Did you see your 2 junior sisters?" 100 Flowers Fairy smiled and asked. "I did," Gu Qingshan replied. "Are you satisfied with my arrangements?" "They are also pitiful people. Their temperament and talents are top-notch. I approve of accepting them into the sect," Gu Qingshan replied. He slowly walked into the palace and respectfully bowed to 100 Flowers Fairy. "Sure, Fu, I've returned. Go and rest first. I still have something to discuss here. Let's talk later." "Sure, Fu. The matter you want to discuss, is it about that spy?" Gu Qingshan pointed at a corner of the palace. The person who pretended to be him was still tied up, unable to move. Hearing him say that, 100 Flowers Fairy knew that this disciple of hers usually has his own thoughts, so she went along with him. "That is indeed the case. Qingshan, how do you think we should deal with it?" "I don't think it's a big deal. There's no need to care too much about it," Gu Qingshan replied. He continued, "Others want to know more about Shifu, so that they can get along better with Shifu. That's a good thing. Don't you think so?" Halfway through his words, he asked the 8 elders. The 8 elders were a bit surprised, then nodded and praised. That's right. That's what we've been thinking." Gu Qingshan, try to persuade your Shifu." Gu Qingshan nodded to the elders, expressing that she understood. He continued to persuade 100 Flowers Fairy. In truth, among many organizations, only by forming a community of mutual benefit would they be able to get along well with each other and do things well. "I trust that everyone's intentions are good. Shifu, there's no need for you to go to war over this, huh? You really think so?" Xie Dao Ling asked. "Yes, Shifu, from now on, we'll all be working together. It's good to get along well," Gu Qingshan replied. Saying so, he slowly walked towards the person who impersonated him. "Shifu, there's no need to tie this cultivator up so tightly. It'll be bad if he holds a grudge against us. If word gets out that our Baihua sect doesn't treat our guests well," he said as he walked. 100 Flowers Fairy was stunned. The few elders praised him loudly. "Xie Dao Ling, you've taken in a good disciple. You're very sophisticated. Very outstanding. This is the kind of person who could take care of a sect. Very good, very good." Xie Dao Ling didn't seem to notice anything and didn't say anything, only staring at Gu Qingshan. At this point, Gu Qingshan had already walked in front of the impersonator. He looked at the other party and smiled apologetically. "It must be very hard to be trapped by such a barrier, right? I apologize on behalf of my Shifu. In truth, our Baihua sect shouldn't have treated you like this." Seeing him being so easy to talk to, the impersonator sighed in relief and smiled. "My apologies. I truly needed to borrow your identity in order to understand the leader of the Alliance. It's fine, it's fine. It's only my duty. Gu Qingshan patted his shoulder and said without a care. Thank you for your magnanimity. You truly are a person with a big heart. This humble one is truly impressed, the impersonator said. Hearing that, Gu Qingshan seemed a bit embarrassed. Brother, you're too kind. You don't need to think too much about it, after all. Dash ho. A sharp flash of sword flashed. The impersonator's head was sent flying by a single slash, falling in the middle of the hall and rolling in front of the elders. The headless corpse's neck started to bleed profusely, stood still for a few moments before collapsing. Clang, clang, clang. The heavy chains that bound the corpse kept hitting the cold floor, giving off a series of metallic clangs. You're already dead. Our Bai Hua sect has always been generous. We won't bother with the dead. Chapter 7:13. The head flew through the air for a long distance before it rolled down at the feet of the 8 elders. The smiles on the 8 elders' faces froze. The person they tried so hard to protect was killed in the blink of an eye. This was something they couldn't accept. Not only was this person related to their reputation, but he also knew a lot of this world's secrets, so he should have been saved. But everything happened too suddenly. Gu Qingshan was standing too close to his impersonator. At that distance, no one could stop a sword cultivator from suddenly killing someone. Even with the 8 elders' mental fortitude, they couldn't help but be stunned for a split second when faced with such a situation. Gu Qingshan sheathed his sword and smiled at the 8 elders. He spoke with a cheerful tone. All right, the matter has been perfectly resolved. We can all work together peacefully from now on. Hiding behind the screen, One Air couldn't help but laugh out loud. This laugh seemed to have some sort of infectious power. On the throne of 10,000 flowers, Xie Dao Ling also smirked. In the blink of an eye, she disappeared from the throne of 10,000 flowers. At the same time, 7 to 8 rays of light manifested into spells that carried killing intent that filled the entire hall, surging towards Gu Qingshan like a tidal wave. 100 Flowers Fairy stood in front of Gu Qingshan and casually swung her sleeves to disperse these spells. Bastard, you dare to kill someone right in front of me. Xie Daoling, you're still protecting him. Gu Qingshan must die. If you don't make things clear today, Xie Daoling, don't even think about getting through this, the 8 elders all shouted at her. Xie Daoling coldly replied, trying to kill my disciple right in front of me. Do you really think that I, Xie Daoling, am that easy to bully? If I allow you to continue messing around in my world today, what face would I have left to cultivate? As she spoke, an ancient and dignified aura rose from her body, and her fine black hair immediately turned the color of snow fluttering in the wind. A long vine whip full of spikes appeared in her hand. Ho, crack! As the whip swung, it gave off the sound of breaking through the air as if it was summoning something. The void was gradually filled with flowers of various colors, looking like a solemn and serene dojo. Such a spectacular scene, however, caused the 8 elders to be silent, as if someone was strangling their necks. Suddenly, someone screamed, Heavens! She used the Azura's Karma divine skill, Virokana. With this shout, the elders couldn't help but retreat in unison. Xie Dao Ling shot to fame. In the last battle, she was able to go against the tide and defeat the devil army by herself. She relied on a few of her famous skills. This Vimlaji Dora was one of the 2 most terrifying divine skills of Xie Dao Ling. The elders glanced at each other, and they were slightly surprised and bewildered. Was she really going to fight? How dare she? The leading elder stepped forward and spoke in a low voice. Xie Dao Ling, you've gone too far. Only now do I realize that the Dao Lord shouldn't have chosen you as the leader of the Alliance at all, Xie Daoling replied. That was the will of the Dao Lord and the entire Alliance. It doesn't seem to have anything to do with the 8 of you, no. The reason why everyone chose you was based on a premise. The elder shook his head. Premise? Indeed. For a person of your caliber, everyone assumed that you would understand the most basic principles of the Alliance. The elder sighed and shook his head. In truth, what your disciple said just now was correct. In an organization, only by forming a solid community of mutual benefit Can we ensure the efficient operation of the organization at all levels? We sent people here not only to understand your past, but also to reach an agreement with you at a time like this. The smartest thing for you to do would be to voluntarily hand over Xiao to us. As long as you understand the situation and hand over your disciple to us. Would we mistreat her? And you yourself will receive our full support, becoming the true leader of the alliance. Xie Dao Ling lowered her head and asked, was the Dao Lord also like this back then? That's right. Not just the Dao Lord, but every leader before him was the same. This is the only way to gain everyone's trust, Xie Dao Ling. Everyone has high hopes for you. But why do you have to go against us? Why do you have to break this balance? Don't you know that the alliance is related to the safety of several thousand cultivation worlds? Countless cultivators all hope that you will be able to lead them forward, that you will be able to reorganize the alliance, that you will be able to lead everyone to victory against the demon nation. The old man spoke with great emotion. But now, you're unwilling to even give up the most basic of personal benefits and only care about your own selfishness. This old man really doesn't know how you'll lead the alliance. You're such a disappointment. Did you say benefits? Saying so, Xie Dao Ling couldn't help but chuckle. She casually swung her vine whip and said, the ones who truly don't understand everything are you. She raised her voice. Today, I will use my actions to tell every cultivator in the alliance that the people they care about, the people they want to protect, the people they're willing to die for, will not be threatened by any organization or benefit starting from me. The alliance will no longer be a community of benefits. Even if we all die on the front lines against the demon nation tomorrow, it will be because we share the same desire. Indeed, we will die because we have something precious that we must protect, even if we have to die together with the enemy. Living beings cultivate not because of benefits, but because of the desire in their hearts. Even your determination to transcend life and death has been worn away. Your Tao hearts have fallen, leaving nothing but blinding benefits. This is the reason why you cannot continue to break through. In my place, you first tried to touch Xiao, and now you want to kill Qing Shan. I will not let you go today. Xie Dao Ling swung her whip. At once, countless flowers bloomed, then formed into a garland that manifested as runes. The technique had been completed. From the void of space, an ancient statue of a deity with 1,000 eyes, 990 arms, 8 legs, and a mouth that breathed fire appeared. As soon as the ancient deity statue appeared, a sense of solemnity and prestige filled the entire palace. Killing intent rose. Xie Dao Ling loudly declared, I've said what I wanted to say, prepare to die. In front of her, the 8 elders knew that this was the most dangerous moment of their lives. They had already placed their hands against each other and shouted in unison, 900 million world layers, world adjudicator. In front of their chests, there was an incomplete pendant. At this point, the pendants flew into the air and formed a small badge. The badge vibrated in the air, giving off a short but continuous chime. Immediately, an impatient voice sounded from the ceiling of the hall. Who is calling me? As the voice rang out, the figure descended. It was a man with a face full of stubbles and vicissitudes. When he descended, he was still holding a deck of cards in his hand. From the looks of it, he came here directly from the poker table. The man put the cards away, first glanced at the ancient deity statue in the air with interest, then turned his sharp gaze towards the 8 elders. World Adjudicator isn't something that can be casually used. If you're interrupting my poker game just to save your own lives, I'll kill you first, the man declared. The elder in the lead smiled fawningly and said, My lord, don't worry, we're not doing this for our own personal matters. We truly do have a matter that requires the World Adjudicator. Speak, don't waste any more time, the man said. The elder pointed at the 100 Flowers Fairy, Xie Dao Ling, and smiled. Sir, this woman has arbitrarily fused 5 worlds together, far exceeding the limit of 2 worlds. So we're requesting you to erase her, huh? That can't be right. We've already reported her matter last time. The Cultivation Alliance will pay for this matter, the man was surprised. But now, we're not willing to pay for it, the old man replied. The other 7 elders all nodded. Sir, The Alliance's limit is in the hands of the 8 of us. We'll make a special declaration here. The Alliance's limit will never be used by her, one of the old men insisted. The leading elder looked at Xie Dao Ling with a cruel expression. Now, sir, please make a judgment on this woman's arbitrary fusion. This was like taking drastic measures to remove the firewood from the pot. No matter how many people supported Xie Dao Ling in the Alliance, no matter how strong she was in battle, as long as they could use the fact that she arbitrarily fused more than 2 worlds together, they would be able to put her beyond redemption. What judgment is there to make? If she doesn't have a limit, then she must die, the man answered without hesitation. He looked at Xie Dao Ling and spoke with a bit of regret. Do you want to die yourself, or do I have to do it? Xie Dao Ling sensed the immense power coming from the other party's body and quickly calculated in her mind. No, not even if I use everything I have. The difference is too great. If I disregard everything and activate the Forgetting River, I might attract even more Lord-class combatants. At that time, the entire world will be destroyed. She silently sighed and bowed. It's fine even if I die. Would you be willing to give me a bit of time to prepare for my funeral? The man replied, the 900 million world layers arbiter will not tolerate any world or person resisting, but the most basic sense of humanity is still present. I can give you a bit of time to prepare for your funeral. Please do so as soon as possible, Xie Dao Ling replied. Thank you. She circulated all her spirit energy. Boom! In the void of space, all the flowers turned to dust. The ancient statue of deity slowly opened its eyes. Xie Dao Ling's killing intent locked onto the 8 elders. The 8 elders shouted in shock. Sir, you can't do that. She's not preparing for a funeral. She's trying to take us down with her. The man scowled, feeling a bit troubled. At this point, Xie Dao Ling was quickly sending her voice through inner sight to give Gu Qing Shan her final instructions. Qing Shan, what you did just now was right. There's no need to regret it. After I die, you will lead everyone to survive. There's no need to worry about the Cultivation Alliance. I have a secret art that can temporarily conceal our world. It's hidden in... Her words were cut off by Gu Qing Shan. Shifu, you won't die, Gu Qing Shan said. Xie Dao Ling raised her eyebrows. That's right, Gu Qing Shan smiled. Nothing will happen to us. She walked past the 100 Flowers Ferry and headed towards the man. The man glanced at Gu Qing Shan, not paying much attention at first, but as if recalling something, he pulled his gaze back and seriously looked at her again. Chapter 714. Hey, Chen Wang, I didn't think I'd see you here, Gu Qing Shan smiled and said. Back in a bowl, when the combatants came to greet Queen of Thorns, Bali brought Gu Qing Shan to his group of friends and introduced them one by one. This Chen Wang was also there at the time. Bali was the boss bro among the Lord-class combatants, so when he brought a little brother to introduce himself to everyone, they naturally gave him face. But the newcomer Gu Qing Shan didn't have any stage fright at all. Her cultivation was also top-notch for her age. She was very natural and unpretentious. Her words were very interesting, and she got along quite well with everyone. At that time, the combatants all had a good impression of Gu Qing Shan, and so Gu Qing Shan successfully entered Iron Fist Bali's circle. The man called Chen Wang said, I haven't seen Bali at the casino recently. I heard that he and Miao both went on vacation with you. That's right. There isn't much to eat at my place, but the food is quite to their liking, so they should be quite comfortable there saying so. Gu Qing Shan turned around and gave Xie Dao Ling a look, signaling her not to act rashly for now. Are they running bills everywhere again? Chen Wang smiled and asked. Of course not. I'm paying. Gu Qing Shan patted her chest. Is that so? When are you going to take me out to play? Ahaha. No problem. I'll definitely bring you next time, Chen Wang nodded and said. I was summoned here by the Arbiter. I'm so annoyed that I can't even play cards in peace. What are you doing here? Gu Qing Shan replied. After I arranged things for Bali and Miao, I was a bit worried about my Shifu, so I came back to take a look. Your Shifu? Chen Wang turned to look at Xie Dao Ling. Gu Qing Shan then introduced. Indeed, this is my Shifu, Xie Dao Ling. Shifu, this is the Realm Lord of the 390th to 666th world layers, as well as a Lord-class combatant, a frequent guest of our club. Sir Chan Wang. Siet Dao Ling put her whip away and clasped her fist. Greetings, sir. Chan Wang returned the salute solemnly and said politely, Sorry for offending you just now. He scolded. Qing Shan, why didn't you say so earlier? You made me do something unnecessary. He reached out and tapped the void of space. Gradually, the entire hall was filled with countless streaks of black light that condensed into lines, densely packed together. Even more terrifyingly, these black threads were silently attached to the bodies and limbs of Xie Dao Ling and the 8 elders without making a single sound. Xie Dao Ling and the 8 elders looked at these eerie glowing black strings in surprise. They tried to recall, but found that they could not feel anything at all. When did these black strings hide themselves, or when they attached themselves to their bodies? They had no idea. As Chan Wang continued to tap, the black strings around Siet Dao Ling were absorbed into his fingers one by one before he put them away. While taking the strings away, Chen Wang explained, I don't really care about the 8 good-for-nothings over there, but your Shifu's technique is a causality divine skill, capable of harming people above their realms. So I have to be careful. I'm sorry. I've caused you trouble, Xie Dao Ling said apologetically. Ah, no. I'm the one who's caused you trouble, Chan Wang hurriedly explained. My despairing rope might leave some residual power around you and will continue to harass you for another 2 to 4 hours. During this time, you might start to have some dark thoughts. But with your cultivator's willpower, you should be able to resist it very quickly. He then turned to Gu Qingshan and grumbled. Why didn't you show up earlier? Gu Qingshan was speechless. You were the one who pretended to be deep in thought and didn't notice me until I showed up myself. How can you blame me for that? But he didn't say anything and only smiled. About the arbitration, what do you think we should do, Brother Chun? Shen Wang appeared contemplative and didn't say anything. Seeing how troubled he was, Gu Qingshan said, If the Cultivation Alliance doesn't want to give my Shifu a quota, then deduct it from the Justice Iron Fist Club. That's not a good idea either. Chen Wang was troubled. Is there a problem? Gu Qingshan became serious. Chen Wang sighed and said, Today's matter is all my fault because I was in a hurry to go back and play cards, so I didn't enforce the law properly. Gu Qingshan froze. Chen Wang continued. Truthfully, who doesn't know about the Cultivation Alliance? Since your Shifu is involved, I'll explain it to you so that you know what's going on. He opened up the topic. The Cultivation Alliance. For the last few decades, they finally had a Dao Lord who had the potential to advance to Lord class. But when the Alliance was in danger, that Dao Lord was voted to the front lines. That Dao Lord fought against countless demonized people, but in the end, he couldn't hold on any longer and became crippled. That Dao Lord was smart enough to choose a new person, abdicate his position, then actively went to kill the demonized people and perish together with them. This way, no one would be able to do anything to his descendants, and he would still be able to keep his soul. Very well, the demon nation was temporarily forced to retreat, but now the Alliance has chosen a new leader. From what I can see, the new leader is also someone to be manipulated. Once he runs into the Demon King order, his soul will be taken away as well, so he might as well die right now and reincarnate. Who would have thought? That person would be your Shifu, saying all of this in one breath. The last of the ugly veil covering the Cultivation Alliance was pulled off. Gu Qingshan silently smiled. There's nothing new in this world. From ancient times until now, there have always been countless organizations that used all sorts of glamorous excuses to secretly carry out all sorts of shady deals. Gu Qingshan replied, Thank you for your guidance. I will convince my Shifu to not care about the Cultivation Alliance from now on. Chan Wang patted his shoulder. That's right. With you, Bali and Meow here, we're in the 900 million world layers, can't we go? A trashy alliance isn't worth it. The truly outstanding cultivators have all left already. Then about my Shifu. Gu Qingshan asked. Don't tell Bali about this. Otherwise I won't be able to keep my face, Chen Wang seriously told her. What about the quota? I'll send a few to your Shifu. There's no need to go through the normal procedures. I'll deal with it right now. Gu Qingshan hurriedly said, That's too embarrassing. It's fine. I know how precious the World Fusion quota is. I can't. It's fine. Chan Wang waved his hand dismissively. Just leave this to your big brother, Chun. Are you still worried? Gu Qingshan didn't argue and clasped her fist. Thank you, big brother Chun. Chun Wang nodded in satisfaction. He took out a notebook, flipped through it, and found Xie Dao Ling's name, as well as the corresponding number of fused worlds. Here it is, Chen Wang muttered, then took out a pencil and scribbled on it. Chen Wang has already settled it for her. Finally, he signed his name on the paper. That's enough. This matter is over. He put the notebook away and told Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan silently sighed. A quota of 5 fused worlds, even the 900 million world layers. This is a priceless treasure. Who would have thought that he would deal with it so easily? I've made Brother Chen spend a lot of money. Gu Qingshan felt a bit guilty. Xie Dao Ling also noticed what happened, so she clasped her fist and bowed. Thank you for your help, sir. No need to worry about it. I didn't lose anything anyway, Chen Wang replied. He pointed at the 8 elders behind him, who were already dumbfounded by what they saw. They've done quite a bit over the years, so they've accumulated quite a bit of wealth and treasure for themselves. Even I feel like they're worth it. I'll have my subordinates collect all of their wealth. That should be enough to offset my losses. That way, we'll both be happy, Chen Wang smirked. The 8 elder boss paled. They never would have thought that their meticulous planning would end up like this. The leading old man's expression was grim as he spoke in a low voice. Great adjudicator. What do you mean by that? Do you want to take over our world so easily? We won't yield. We're going to sue you. Another elder boss spoke up. That's right. We're not afraid of you. Sir, are you being unreasonable? They all shouted. Chen Wang appeared impatient and lightly tapped the void of space with his hand without turning around. I am Chen Wang. When I'm in a good mood, when I'm in a bad mood, I'll kill you. There's no such thing as reasoning. Remember that and go reincarnate. As soon as he said so, countless black strings of light entered the 8 elders' bodies. The 8 elders drew their weapons and attacked the people around them. They didn't use any spirit energy at all, as if they've lost their minds, only focused on killing their enemies. Soon, the hall became completely silent. The 8 elders all fell to the ground. Chapter 7:15. Chen Wang turned around to look at the corpses of the 8 elders. He scowled and spoke apologetically. I'm sorry, I have a huge weakness when it comes to killing people. That is, it's very easy for me to dirty other people's floors. It's fine, you've actually helped us solve a lot of our problems, Xie Dao Ling softly thanked him. Ah, as long as you don't mind. Now let's wrap this up. Chen Wang reached his hand out and lightly pulled at the void of space above his head. He was holding an old-fashioned telephone receiver in his hand. He cleared his throat and spoke into the receiver. This is Chen Wang. Tell the old man to come and answer the phone. The receiver was a bit noisy, but soon enough, beautiful music began to play. From the music, an electronic voice replied. This is the office of the World Arbitration Council's president. The president has gone to watch a concert. If there's anything urgent, please leave a message after the beep. If it's something extremely urgent, please deal with it yourself. Thank you, beep. Chen Wang spoke into the receiver. Chen Wang is here to make the following report. The 8 elders of the Cultivation Alliance have unanimously requested me to return the quota to the new leader of the Cultivation Alliance. Seeing how firm their stance and attitude are, I have agreed to their request and will present the relevant files and documents shortly. Old man, you're back. Hurry up and get this investigated. That's all for the report. Chen Wang let go. The old receiver automatically flew back above his head and disappeared. How was it? How's Brother Chen handling things? He smiled and asked Gu Qingshan. Thank you, Brother Chen. I'll pick you up for a drink later, Gu Qingshan replied. I heard your cooking skills are quite good. You even received praise from the gourmet, Soup Town chef. It's passable, all right. Next time I go to the club to fight with Bali, I hope I can taste your cooking, no problem. You're always welcome, Gu Qingshan smiled. Chen Wang nodded to him, then bowed to Xie Dao Ling. Then, I'll be leaving. Take care, Brother Chen. Thank you. See you later. Chen Wang flew up to the ceiling and disappeared without a trace. Only the master and disciple were left in the hall. But very quickly, Xiao, Qing Ro, and Wan Er came out from behind screen. The big white goose walked to the back with an imposing manner. Third senior brother. Xiao called out joyfully. Haha, Xiao, long time no see. Come here. Gu Shan jogged over to greet him. He squatted down and hugged Xiao, placing her on his shoulder out of habit. Xiao was taken aback for a moment before a look of joy appeared on her face. Ever since she was young, she had suffered a lot. When she grew up, she had no peers in the sect, and there were only a few people in the sect. She was cold and lonely. Later on, with great difficulty, Gu Shan appeared. When the war broke out, both Xiao Lu and Qing Shan went to the front lines. Very few people played with her anymore. On the other hand, Gu Shan was her senior brother, and he had solved the big problem of the sect the moment he came back. Although they hadn't seen each other for some time, her senior brother still treated her the same. Not to mention, there were now 2 more junior sisters in the sect. This made things a lot more lively. Xiao happily said, "Whoa, senior brother's shoulder feels so good. Of course, senior brother specially trained it." "Ha, nice to meet you, first senior brother. You've finally grown up. Not bad." The big white goose looked up. Gu Shan looked around, but didn't see Qin Xiaolu. Why don't I see second senior brother?" he asked. "Your second senior brother is in secluded cultivation." Secluded cultivation? Cultivation? Gu Shan was surprised. Qin Xiaolu was extremely smart, proficient in the 6 arts, but he hated cultivation. So whenever he went out to flirt with female cultivators from other sects, if he didn't report his identity, he would definitely get beaten up with his cultivation. But there was a benefit to reporting his identity, as everyone else would immediately leave and ignore him. After all, the 100 Flowers Fairy was the ruler of this world, and during the last Shun Wu tribulation, Gu Shan saved everyone. Bai Hua's sect's reputation was still very useful. He really is in secluded cultivation, because last time, Xiao was almost taken out of the sect by that impersonator, but because his cultivation was too low, he didn't notice anything. It wasn't until Qing Ro and Wan Air acted that he realized what happened. The 100 Flowers Fairy appeared pleased and said, from then on, he went into secluded cultivation, and this is also the first time he went into secluded cultivation. I hope we'll be able to gain something from it. What realm is second senior brother at right now? Gu Shan asked. Rejuvenation realm. Because none of his peers were still golden core, he lost face, so he only cultivated for 2 days and broke through to rejuvenation realm. 2 days? Yes, he only cultivated for 2 days. Then why didn't he continue? He felt that rejuvenation realm was enough. Cultivating any further would make him tired and affect his mood. He wouldn't be able to sleep well at night. Gu Shan was speechless again. Ever since returning to the sect, the number of times I've been speechless has increased. He thought for a bit, then said, this time's matter with Xiao should be a wake-up call for him, with his talent and intelligence. As long as he cultivates properly, breaking through should be a piece of cake. Everyone nodded. Qin Xiaolu has too many strange thoughts, and the things he does are also too strange. If it weren't for that, he would have already become a famous person. At this time, a flame flew into the hall. The 100 Flowers Fairy received the flame talisman and infused it with spirit energy. Secret voice messages were sent from the talisman into her inner sight. The 100 Flowers Fairy went silent for a bit, then told her disciples, "The great monk of sorrow has something to discuss with me. I'll be back soon. You guys go ahead and catch up. Buying Tan, I'm here. You're the eldest brother. Take good care of everyone." "Yes, sir," the white goose solemnly replied. The 100 Flowers Fairy's figure flashed and disappeared from the hall. The atmosphere in the hall became much more relaxed. Shifu's cultivation is unparalleled. She's the ruler of several thousand worlds, so she's normally too dignified. Although Shifu treats everyone very well, she's still the Shifu. Even Qing Ro and Wan Air, after just a few days of entering the sect, were slowly becoming the same as Xiao, a bit nervous in front of the 100 Flowers Fairy. They're both tribulation realm cultivators. This doesn't make any sense at all. It can only be said that the relationship between people is a strange thing. Right now, as soon as the 100 Flowers Fairy left, everyone was a lot more relaxed. The white goose was the first to sigh in relief, then said, "Shifu is usually too strict. Now that she's not here, we can all gather and have a good chat." Hearing the white goose, Xiao, Qing Ro, and Wan Air all nodded. They all relaxed. But Gu Shan didn't nod, nor did he relax. He looked down at the floor, feeling like there were 10,000 horses galloping in his mind. Shifu, are you having fun like this? Gu Shan silently thought. The white goose looked around and smiled. To celebrate the end of the sex calamity, as well as to celebrate Gu Shan's return, I suggest we take out our treasured spirit food for everyone to try, and also have a small tea party. Wow. We have snacks. Xiao raised both her hands and cheered. Qing Ro and Wan Er also smiled. The white goose emphasized, but don't eat too much. Each person can only have one piece. After all, we don't have much left in our storage. Got it? The three girls replied. Wait a minute. Why are you all so happy to eat snacks? Gu Shan asked in confusion. Xiao explained. Senior brother, you don't know this, but ever since second brother swore to go into seclusion, we've run out of food. How did that happen? Gu Shan exclaimed in shock. The white goose continued. Because normally, Qin Xiaolu is in charge of our daily spirit food. But now that he's in seclusion, of course we don't have anything to eat. Then we take pills and drink dew every day, Xiao answered bitterly. Why don't you go out and buy some spirit food? The white goose shook his head and sighed. After eating Qin Xiaolu's cooking, who will want to eat outside food? Not to mention, we're the greatest sect in the world, yet we have to go out and order food every day. How shameful would that be? Gu Shan was speechless. You're clearly a glutton, but you still want to save face. There's nothing I can do about it. He looked at Qing Ro and Wan Er. Qing Ro smiled. We're already very satisfied with our current lives, but Wan Er continued. But it's been a long time since we've had a steaming hot spirit food. Saying so, they all looked at Gu Shan with wide eyes. Gu Shan slowly understood. In truth, who would want to talk to her about something? She's just purposely avoiding it. Her goal is Gu Shan sneaked a glance at the white goose, only to see that the white goose was showing an encouraging expression, silently nodding at Xiao. Xiao mustered up her courage and timidly said, Senior Brother Gu, just now, when we were behind the screen, we heard a very powerful person say that your cooking skills are quite good. The white goose was surprised. Ah? Even a Lord-class figure says that Qin Shan's cooking skills are quite good? Then we'll have to try it out today. Chapter 716. This was by Hua Sek's back mountain. A spirit spring flowed down from the mountain, forming a small stream that flowed right next to the sect's kitchen. This was the spring water that gushed out from the natural spirit veins in the depths of the ground. It was icy, cold, chilly, and filled with abundant energy of the heavens and the earth. Only a sect of by Hua Sek's caliber could monopolize such a high-grade spirit vein. Gu Shan was holding a pot, carefully washing it next to the stream. A line of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. None of this kitchen's utensils contain the events of the Doomsday Chronicles. This is the final utensils that contain the cooking method of spirit cooking. Would you like to comprehend the cooking skills on it? To comprehend this cooking skill, soul points cost 100. Gu Shan sighed and silently paid 100 soul points. When he came to the kitchen just now, he found that many of the utensils here contained Qin Xiaolu's cooking skills. Gu Shan was a person who relied on cooking to survive, so his own cooking skills were top-notch as well. Since Qin Xiaolu was in seclusion, he had no choice but to cook for everyone. Who would have thought that he'd be able to experience Qin Xiaolu's cooking skills here? He was able to comprehend every single cooking skill on the table. For him, this was a completely new perspective, allowing him to understand the art of cooking from the very beginning. After this comprehension, Gu Shan was able to compare his own cooking skills with Qin Xiaolu's, comparing, verifying, and improving each other. Before he knew it, his cooking skills had silently leapt over a threshold and reached a whole new level. But Gu Shan himself didn't notice any of this at all. He only felt that his grasp of taste had improved. After all, improving his cooking skills wouldn't trigger a lightning tribulation. It was already getting late. It was almost time for dinner. Gu Shan put the pot down, rolled up his sleeves, and began to seriously think. All right, now that everything is cleaned, what dishes should I make tonight? Shifu's taste is a bit heavy, Xiao Xiao can't eat anything too spicy. Qing Ro and Wan Er have both been through a lot, but they both came from top-notch forces in the past, so they're both very picky. One likes fresh fish, the other likes salty food. It's really hard to satisfy everyone. Gu Qingshan couldn't come up with an answer after thinking for a bit, so he decided to just give up and prepare a few dishes for everyone. He started a fire by the stream, set up a metal plate, and began to cook grilled fish and grilled meat. He lit up another stove and placed 7 or 8 steamers on it. He placed the crystal shrimp dumplings, crispy chicken feet, sweet glutinous rice cakes, steamed meat with rice flour, soup dumplings, crispy pork with lotus leaves, and steamed eggs with crab roe. After the preparations were done, he took out another pot, drew into Spirit Spring, and threw in all kinds of rare fungi. He didn't put in anything else. Only a snow ginseng white chicken that had been cleaned up was thrown in. He covered the pot and began to stew it. At this point, both the grilled meat and fish were almost done. The smell of meat filled the air and caught Gu Qingshan's attention. He took out a bunch of tender spirit water sky peppers and sprinkled them on the metal plate. When the tender spirit pepper met the hot iron plate, there was only a sizzling sound, and the spiciness that aroused one's appetite was forced out by the high temperature. After 12 breaths, this dish would be done. The soup still needed a bit more time, and the steamed dishes weren't done yet. Gu Qingshan silently waited, preparing to put the meat and fish on the plate. He was thinking about what kind of dishes he should make next. All of a sudden, he felt that something was wrong. Grabbing with his hand, Gu Qingshan took out the 6 paths great mountain sword from the void of space and shouted, "Who's there?" The surroundings were quiet. Only the sound of the pot and the stove could be heard. There was no one else here. Gu Qingshan squinted his eyes as his killing intent became thicker. "I don't care who you are. If you don't show yourself, I won't be polite anymore," he spoke with a heavy tone. Perhaps sensing his murderous intent, a voice finally rang out. "Junior brother, please don't attack. It's me. I'm Qin Shaolu." Gu Qingshan froze. Indeed, this was the back mountain of Baihua sect, surrounded by countless formations. Unless it was a Lord-class combatant like Chen Wang, who else would be able to silently appear here? But then, wasn't second brother in seclusion? He looked around in surprise, but couldn't see anything. "Ah, junior brother, I'm here," Qin Xiaolu's voice came again. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but release his inner sight to follow the voice. In the stream, a tortoise was slowly climbing onto the shore. While crawling, the turtle spoke. "Your grilled meat is almost done. Prepare the dishes first." Gu Qingshan scooped up the dishes first. However, his eyes never left the tortoise. "What is second brother doing?" The turtle was wearing a green chainmail armor, slowly crawling towards Gu Qingshan's feet. Gu Qingshan was surprised. "Second brother, when did you learn the secret of transforming living beings?" The turtle opened its mouth. "What? You think I'm this green-haired turtle?" No, I'm not a turtle. Then where are you?" "Currently in seclusion," the turtle pridefully answered. "Then what are you doing?" "Take a look at this chainmail armor. I've attached a bit of my thaumaturgy to it, allowing me to temporarily take over this dead turtle. You could take over a corpse?" "When did you learn that?" Gu Qingshan was truly surprised. The turtle shook its head, still prideful. "It's a thaumaturgy I learned when I broke through to Rejuvenation Realm. It's strange, but very useful. What are you doing in the back mountain?" "Ha! Seclusion is too boring. So, I came out for a stroll." The turtle was troubled. Gu Qingshan advised it. "You should focus on seclusion. Once your cultivation increases, it'll be safer for you to go out." The turtle didn't mind. "During the world fusion last time, I spent a lot of effort. Otherwise, how could I have broken through to Rejuvenation Realm so quickly?" "Then does Shifu know that you came out?" Gu Qingshan asked. The turtle shrunk its head. "Don't tell Shifu. I just came out to get some fresh air, then smelled the fragrance of your food," it praised. "I really have to say, third brother's cooking is getting better and better. I could already smell the fragrance of your food when I was still halfway up the mountain." Gu Qingshan understood. So instead of going into seclusion and sneaking out for a stroll, he wants to come here to eat and drink. Gu Qingshan sighed. "Senior brother, I remember there's food in the seclusion room. Those fasting pills are completely tasteless. They don't meet my requirements for food at all. I wouldn't eat them even if I starved to death." The turtle shook its head, then said, "Junior brother, please take pity on your senior brother. Seclusion is so tough. Cook something for your senior brother." "What do you want to eat?" "I want to eat a large piece of braised meat, and also a bottle of chilled spirit liquor." Guqin Shan looked at the turtle shell and couldn't help but ask, "Can you even carry it?" "This stream leads to the place where I'm cultivating in seclusion. I can swim there and make 2 trips." "Huh. All right." Guqin Shan felt a bit of a headache, but he was still her senior brother. What else could he do? He quickly washed the pot and cooked a plate of braised meat. A few moments later, the turtle climbed into the stream with a plate of steaming hot braised meat on its back and steadily swam away. As Guqin Shan watched the turtle leave, he suddenly noticed something. He turned around, only to see the white goose standing on top of a tree, coldly staring at the turtle. No one knew when she had arrived. At first, Guqin Shan didn't notice. Only after the other party unhesitatingly released her emotions did she slowly notice. Which means she heard everything we said just now? Guqin Shan forced a smile. Eldest brother, the white goose, nodded and slowly said, "Originally, I only came to take a look at tonight's dishes. Who knew there would be such an unexpected harvest?" The anger she was giving off was almost tangible. She didn't even bother to hide her aura. The birds in the forest were the most sensitive, so they flew away in flocks. Very quickly, the fish in the stream also ran away in fear. Halfway through its swim, the tortoise also sensed that something was wrong. The turtle turned to look. "Eldest brother," the turtle called out in shock. It didn't care about the braised meat on its back anymore and hurriedly swam in a certain direction. "Running," a cold voice resounded. Suddenly, the white goose disappeared. A white figure flew through the air. Following that, the turtle was sent flying by a powerful force, spinning and landing at Guqin Shan's feet. The white goose slowly walked out from the stream, shaking off the water on his body, and casually said, "And here I thought you were really working hard on your cultivation. Who knew you'd turn into a turtle and have a lot of fun?" The turtle showed a flattering smile, clasping both of its claws and bowing. "Eldest brother, please forgive me this time. Please don't tell Shifu." "So you still know how to be afraid of Shifu?" the white goose coldly said. "Of course, if you tell her, I'll be dead for sure." The turtle begged for mercy. The turtle seemed to have remembered something and looked at Guqin Shan. "Junior brother Gu, hurry. Please help me plead with eldest senior brother. Don't let him tell master." Guqin Shan. Chapter 717. Nightfall. A kite rose up in Bai Hua sect. This was a kite about the size of a cushion, hovering in the air, not moving at all. Even when the wind weakened and it started to drizzle, the kite still didn't fall. Seems like this was a kite powered by a formation. It didn't need wind power at all. "Is this all right?" Guqin Shan looked at the kite and asked. "It's fine," 100 Flowers Fairy answered. "Cultivation is a hard path to begin with. Someone has to force him. Otherwise, he won't be able to break through again for the rest of his life." She then said, "All right, let's get ready for dinner. Let's try Qing Shan's cooking." Xiao, Qing Ro, and Wan Air came over to help with the dishes. Everyone sat down at the table. Other than 100 Flowers Fairy and the white goose, there were also people who occasionally looked up at the sky. Guqin Shan looked at Shifu and the white goose, then at her 3 junior sisters who were still looking up and couldn't help but clap her hands. "It's going to get cold if we don't eat now." Everyone picked up their chopsticks. "It smells so good." Xiao took the first bite and opened her eyes wide. Qing Shan's spirit cooking is quite good," the white goose commented. 100 Flowers Fairy tasted a few dishes and nodded in satisfaction. She thought for a bit, then said, "Qing Shan, Xiao is still growing. Plus Qing Ro and Wan Air have suffered quite a bit. I'll leave the sex meals to you for the time being. What do you think?" "Yes, Shifu," Guqin Shan replied. "Very well." 100 Flowers Fairy stood up, saying, "With Qing Shan here, I can rest assured about the sect food. You can all eat now." "Shifu, you're not eating anymore?" Xiao asked in a small voice. "The people from the Cultivation Alliance are here," 100 Flowers Fairy said. Guqin Shan also stood up. "Shifu, I'll go with you. No need. The people who came this time are all my supporters. They must have heard the news and came here as soon as possible, I see. Why don't I cook a few more dishes and invite them in for dinner? You don't have to be so close to them. I'll go deal with them and come back. I haven't made a decision about the future of this world. Gu Qingshan nodded. It's just a cultivation alliance. Although I'm the leader in name, I'm actually being used as a spear by others. It's fine not to be such a leader. But now, the situation had changed. All the opposing forces in the alliance had disappeared. In the end, whether to take down the entire cultivation alliance in one fell swoop, or to leave the cultivation alliance according to their original plan, this indeed needed to be carefully considered. After all, this is related to the future of Shenwu world. Although the decision was made by Hunterflower's Fairy, Gu Qingshan felt that she should also carefully consider the pros and cons. While he was thinking, the Hunterflower's Fairy opened her mouth and said, Qingshan, when I return, we'll have a good discussion about this, okay? Gu Qingshan immediately agreed. Qing Ro asked with concern, Shifu hasn't eaten yet. How about you eat first? The Hunterflower's Fairy smiled. Qing Ro was the most meticulous and caring one. If she hadn't joined the sect so late, she would have been a suitable first sister. Forget it. It's not good to keep them waiting. Let's see what their attitude is first. Not to mention, with my cultivation, I can easily absorb the essence of the laws of heaven and earth. So food is no longer important to me, the Hunterflower's Fairy very seriously said. Her figure flashed and disappeared from the table. The girls were all fascinated by what she said. I wonder when I'll be able to reach such a realm, One Air sighed. Let's keep working hard. One day we'll also become as strong as Shifu, Qingro encouraged her. Xiao also sighed, saying, Shifu has already transcended the mortal realm. I feel like I'll never be able to reach her realm. Hearing the three girls' discussion, Gu Qingshan couldn't help but look at the white goose. The white goose's head was buried in his bowl, happily eating a crystal shrimp dumpling. After a bit of silence, Gu Qingshan said, That's enough. Shifu isn't a normal person. Don't compare yourself to her. It's not suitable. He gave each of them a piece of food. These were all dishes that they liked to eat. And so, the disciples of Bai Hua sect picked up their chopsticks again. While eating, they chatted a bit, asking the white goose a few questions about cultivation. Except for Qin Shaolu, who was flying in the sky. Regardless of whether he was willing or not, he could only sit on the kite and close his eyes to cultivate. Only after he breaks through Rejuvenation Realm and Ascended Realm will he be able to return to the ground. After dinner, Gu Qingshan put away the plates and bowls, quickly washed them, then took out the basket from the well and placed the chilled fruits on the table. The brothers and sisters ate the fruits while chatting. Qingro and One Air continued to ask the white goose for advice, wanting to understand a certain scripture in detail. Gu Qingshan helped Xiao cut the fruits. A few moments later, Hunterflower's Fairy also returned. Seeing the smile on her face, Gu Qingshan asked, How's the situation? Seems like I can't leave the alliance anymore, Hunterflower's Fairy said. Why not? Right now, everyone supports me as the leader. Even the departments in charge of the alliance are on my side. News sure travels fast, Gu Qingshan smiled. That's right, they can't find out anything else, but they know about that matter right away, Hunterflower's Fairy said. Shifu, senior brother, what matter are you talking about? Xiao couldn't help but ask. Gu Qingshan stroked her head and answered, The World Fusion Quota, yes, Hunterflower's Fairy said. The entire alliance's quota has been transferred to me. She took out a small badge and put on the table. This badge was exactly the same as the one the 8 elders had before, but the quality was much better. This is the badge that the World Arbitration Council just gave me, asking them to give it to me. The documents that came with it have the seal of the World Arbitration Council's chairman, as well as the signature of the Lord-class arbitrator Chan Wang. Did you scare them? Gu Qingshan asked. A bit. Hunterflower's Fairy smiled, which was rare for her. If that's the case, there's no need to throw away the organization you hold so quickly, Gu Qingshan said. Hunterflower's Fairy replied, I'm of the same mind. I'll just sit on this alliance's leader position for now. At least I won't have to beg anyone in exchange for the corresponding quota. She looked at Gu Qingshan and asked, I've heard about you going to the suspended world from Qing Ro and Wan Air. You were able to adapt to the situation, act accordingly, and kill a cryptic realm cultivator in one fell swoop. That was beyond my expectations, and I'm proud of you. But then, what happened? After that, your master wants to hear what you went through. As 100 Flowers Fairy said this, Xiao, Qing Ro, and Wan Air all perked up their ears. After all, it wasn't easy for Gu Qingshan to return safely, not to mention that she was able to get to know someone like Chen Wang, so they were naturally curious about Gu Qingshan's experiences. Gu Qingshan thought for a bit, then said, "Please let Xiao Lu down. Shifu, I believe there are a few things that would benefit him. Do you really think so?" "I do." 100 Flowers Fairy waved her hand to summon the kite down. Qin Xiaolu sat on the kite, still pretending to be meditating. Gu Qingshan smiled. "All right, second brother, you'll have to listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you. I think there are a few things that should be told as soon as possible, so that our Baihua sect can be prepared." Qin Xiaolu opened his eyes and spoke disappointedly. "I thought you managed to convince Shifu to let me out of seclusion." Seeing Baihua Fairy's stern gaze on him, he quickly shut his mouth. Gu Qingshan then began to narrate. He started from when the two girls left the suspended world, all the way to how he used mystery of all beings to counter Rakshas's mystery of all things and won the competition. The white fox appeared, but was easily killed by the true Devil Buttercup. The realm demon was Buttercup's son. The truth of the suspended world was revealed. At this point, everyone sighed emotionally. No one cared about the suspended world's destruction. They were all sighing about Buttercup's suffering. After that, Gu Qingshan told them about the existence of superdimensional worlds, as well as how she met Bali and Meow. Then came the call of the Bramblebirds. Tree's betrayal. The Bramblebird Princess. The Demon King Order's continuous upgrade. The gathering of 2 million demonized people. The icy peak of the old gods. The lost world underground. The extinction of the divine seed. The Tiama's hiding and attack. My deal with the Tiama. The wind and lightning double tribulation. The battle between the Demon King Order and the Heavenly God Order. Gu Qingshan told them everything in one breath. Everyone listened with rapt attention, occasionally holding their breaths in nervousness, until Gu Qingshan talked about her homeworld. I seem to be able to travel between this world and that world, which means I'm both a person of this world and a person of that world, Gu Qingshan said. Got it. Don't tell anyone about this from now on. And the rest of you, don't tell anyone about Qingshan either. Keep this a secret, 100 Flowers Fairy told everyone. Everyone nodded in unison. Gu Qingshan was a bit surprised. He originally came from another world. This was one of his biggest secrets. He thought Shifu would be suspicious when he told her about it, but he didn't think it would be so easy. Seeing his expression, 100 Flowers Fairy solemnly asked, "Do you know what returnees are?" Returnees? That's right, in truth, this world of ours originally had a secret. Saying so, 100 Flowers Fairy suddenly changed her mind. All right, if you know about this, it won't be a good thing for you. Once you're able to stand on your own like Qingshan, I'll tell you about it, she told everyone. It's already very late. Xiao, Qingro, Wan Air, you should all go back and rest. Orchid Hall has always been cleaned. It's still very clean. Qingshan hasn't been back for a long time. You should also rest well today. I'll tell you about this tomorrow. Kite on the roof. Continue to cultivate. Don't come down until you reach Ascended Realm. Disperse. Following 100 Flowers Fairy's order, everyone had no choice but to disperse, no matter how unwilling they were. Gu Qingshan was the last to leave. 100 Flowers Fairy looked at him. I'll talk to second brother for a bit. Remind him again and again, Gu Qingshan said. 100 Flowers Fairy nodded, turned around, and left. After everyone had left, Gu Qingshan finally flew up into the air, stopping in front of Qin Xiaolu. Qin Xiaolu appeared happy and asked, "Junior brother, did you leave some food and wine for me?" "No, I just have something I want to talk to you about." "What is it?" "Second brother, do you know where Qing Ro and Wan Air came from?" "Not really," Qin Xiaolu answered. Shifu said they were pitiful people. Gu Qingshan then explained. Qing Ro was the next leader of her world. She started cultivating when she was 3 years old, After 27 years without a single day of rest, she finally broke through to Tribulation Realm, becoming the most outstanding cultivator in the world. Was the daughter of the leader of the strongest sect in her world, but she never slacked off because of her identity. Because of her poor aptitude, she put in far more effort than her peers. She wandered on the edge of life and death several times, but she still bravely advanced. She would rather die than break through to a higher realm. The two of them worked so hard, but their world were invaded by others, their loved ones were killed. Even they themselves were reduced to slaves. They had worked so hard, but the result was so unfair. Senior brother, whose fault do you think this is? Qin Shaolu was stunned. Gu Qin Shan continued. Then there's our Shifu. Shifu took an unforeseeable risk to fuse with the world, forcefully increasing her cultivation to a point where even I can't sense it. But she was killed in the end. She had no choice but to join the Cultivation Alliance, fighting against the demon armies day and night for the Alliance. Only then could she survive, but there were still people who infiltrated our world, trying to take away Xiao and use that to control our Shifu. Everyone worked so hard. Not only did they have to guard against disasters, they also had to guard against evil people. Senior brother, you can keep playing around, but just look at everyone. Have any of them talked about their hardships? Just now, when we were eating, Qing Ro and Wan Air were still using their time to ask Shifu questions about their cultivation. They've already lost everything, but they're still fighting. Why do you think they're doing that? Our Shifu couldn't even eat. She's always busy dealing with the outside world. Who is she working so hard for? Qin Shaolu was a bit surprised and couldn't help but ask. So what are you trying to say? Gu Qin Shan patted Qin Shaolu's shoulder. You're the senior brother, I'm the junior brother, so I can only remind you to pay attention to these things. Other than that, there's nothing else I can teach you. Finally, senior brother, I just want to ask you one thing. Go ahead, Qin Shaolu replied. Gu Qin Shan slowly asked, when Xiao was almost taken away, if Qing Ro and Wan Air didn't return, would you have been able to do anything? Qin Shaolu was stunned, unable to say anything. If something like that had happened, Shifu isn't one to be coerced. She would have used everything she had. Even if she had to die, she would take those people down with her. Gu Qin Shan asked further, if Shifu had died, and Xiao had also died, would you still be happy like this every day? Chapter 718. Gu Qin Shan flew back to Baihua Palace. At this point, Baihua Palace had returned to silence. Everyone else had returned to rest, leaving only 100 Flowers Fairy sitting on her throne. 100 Flowers Fairy leaned back on her throne, resting her chin on her hand, and mused. Even if you tell him everything you know, I'm afraid it won't be of any use. Gu Qin Shan smiled. Senior brother's just too used to playing around. I'm sure that if he gets serious, he'll be able to comprehend it. In the sky above, dark clouds were slowly gathering. The rain was getting heavier and heavier. The night rain was turning into a downpour. A few moments later, thunder flash. The heavens' tribulation is here. I didn't think it would come so soon. Gu Qin Shan was surprised. 100 Flowers Fairy appeared glad and said, I can only hope that he'll cultivate seriously for a while longer. She released her inner sight to observe Qin Shaolu, only to see Qin Shaolu sitting on top of the kite with his eyes closed, completely unaffected by the rain and wind, giving off an unprecedented sense of seriousness. Shaolu's tribulation will probably be over for a while. Qin Shan, tell me what happened to you. How did Shifu know I had something to do? Gu Qin Shan was surprised. I can tell. She stared closely at him. Ever since I came back to see you, I've noticed that you've been in a bad mood. Gu Qin Shan stayed silent for a bit, then smiled bitterly. I really can't escape Shifu's eyes. He tapped his inventory bag, took out a long jade box, and opened it. The earth sword that was covered in cracks silently sat inside. Gu Qin Shan raised the earth sword and showed it to her. The earth sword? How'd it get so damaged? She muttered. She flew down from her throne, landed in front of Gu Qin Shan, and carefully observed the sword. It's already on the verge of shattering. That's almost impossible. What exactly did you encounter? 100 Flowers Fairy asked. Gu Qin Shan replied. We ran into a monster that we've never seen before. At the time, in the lost world of the old gods, that monster almost took my life. The Earth Sword had to use all of my soul points before we managed to kill it. There were many things that Gu Qingshan wouldn't hide from Xie Daoling. However, he never mentioned the giant corpse and a monster in detail. Even when he talked about the order before, Gu Qingshan only vaguely talked about it and didn't explain the God Order's origin. That was because there were some secrets that could be detected by some mysterious existences as long as they were spoken of, and the sound of their voices could exist in time and space. That monster was too strange, so Gu Qingshan didn't plan to tell anyone about it. It wasn't that he didn't trust her, but it was a form of caution and protection for the people around him. Not only did he protect the giant corpse, but he also protected the people of Baihua sect. Because they didn't know about the secret, they wouldn't be in any danger. Xie Daoling reached her hand out and lightly stroked the sword. "It's about to die. That's impossible." Gu Qingshan shouted in a low voice. "It's true. The entire sword's spine is grayish-white. The sword's spirit has fallen into an unconscious state. It won't be able to hold on for much longer." Xie Daoling's sighed. "It was already wounded, but it had already done everything it could to protect you before. Can Shifu fix it? It's already in this state. I can't fix it, and probably no one in the entire cultivation world can fix it." Xie Daoling shook her head. Gu Qingshan was a bit stunned. The Earth Sword was the sect's sword, something Shifu personally granted to him. Gu Qingshan had thought that Shifu would have a way to fix it if she brought the Earth Sword back. But now it seems that was nothing more than wishful thinking. In truth, I understand that a sword that's broken to this state would be extremely hard to fix. I just don't want to admit it. Gu Qingshan slowly lowered her head. The Earth Sword had accompanied him for most of his life on the path of cultivation. Am I supposed to just let it shatter like this? There were too many times when I didn't have the Earth Sword by my side. My situation would have been countless times more dangerous. For example, when I killed Zhao Wuchue, if the Earth Sword's power hadn't exceeded his expectations, he wouldn't have been killed in a single strike. Or when I killed that monster, if the Earth Sword hadn't used all of its power, I would have died already. The hall fell silent. The sound of thunder resounded throughout the world, but Gu Qingshan just stood there in a daze, completely unaware of it. The Earth Sword. There's no way to save it. Gu Qingshan felt dejected. After a while, he took a deep breath. "Shifu," he bowed to 100 Flowers Fairy. "I have to go? You've only just returned?" 100 Flowers Fairy was surprised. "That's right, seeing that Shifu is fine. Xiaolu has also improved. Xiuxiu is growing. Qingro and Wanair have both settled down. I don't have anything else to worry about. Where do you want to go?" "To the Infinite Worlds, to find a way to repair the Earth Sword. The Earth Sword isn't a normal sword. It's not something that can be repaired by just anyone. Before you can find the person who can repair it, it'll already be dead. This is my sword. It saved me before, so I have to save it now." Saying so, Gu Qingshan once again clasped his fist and bowed. "Shifu, please allow me to leave now." She looked at him and asked again, "Where are you going to find a way?" Gu Qingshan replied, "I'm going to return to the Justice Iron Fist Club first, then use the super-dimensional passage to find Bali's friends and see if they have a way." She fell into thought. The sound of thunder continued to resound. The lightning illuminated the entire hall. Through the flickering light of the lightning, Gu Qingshan could clearly see the hesitation and conflict on her face. Shifu has always been a decisive person, and her decisions are always quick, so why is she showing such an expression today? Gu Qingshan was a bit surprised. At this point, Xie Daoling's gaze once again fell onto Gu Qingshan. She silently stared at Gu Qingshan and softly asked, "Qingshan, while you've been traveling the infinite worlds, have you ever learned anything from others? Or joined another sect?" Without waiting for Gu Qingshan to answer, she continued, "I don't mind you learning from others. A strong cultivator naturally needs to learn more things. I just want to know if you've officially joined another cultivation sect." "I haven't," Gu Qingshan replied. Xie Daoling silently nodded. She seemed to have thought through something and sighed. "Truthfully, your method is useless. Those Lord-class combatants might be powerful, But the Earth Sword isn't something they can repair. She waved her hand to arrange several dozen formations, then used layers upon layers of secret techniques to seal off the entire Baihua Palace. Right now, we can only communicate through inner sight. We can't say anything out loud, Xie Daoling tried asking again. What can this sword slash, Qing Shan? Do you know? Seeing how cautious Shifu was, Gu Qing Shan couldn't help but carefully recall. During the Frozen Tribulation, the Earth Sword had killed a Huang Quan Hellspawn. Huang Quan Hellspawn were actually low-level demis who managed Huang Quan. Gu Qing Shan sent her voice through inner sight. The Earth Sword seems to be able to kill demis. Xie Daoling looked at him and said nothing. Gu Qing Shan paused, then suddenly realized something. Right, the 900 million world layers was created by the old gods. But this sword is able to kill demis. That's strange. No one would purposely create a weapon to kill their descendants, Gu Qing Shan silently thought. It was now that Xie Daoling sent her voice. This sword was once a worshipped sword of my sect, brought back from the primordial heaven realm by our founding ancestor. To repair this sword, you must go to the primordial heaven realm and find the other half of its origin. Gu Qing Shan looked at Shifu, unable to digest what she just said. My sect? The primordial heaven realm? The other half of its origin? There was too much information in just a few sentences. But without waiting for him to ask, Xie Daoling continued. Everyone believes that the heaven realm was broken and disappeared without a trace. But in this world, I, the last disciple of Barren Cloud Heavenly Palace, know that this isn't the case. Because of that, if you want to repair the Earth Sword, you must enter the primordial heaven realm and find the Earth Sword's twin swords. That sword is called Heaven. The Heaven Sword, the twin swords Heaven and Earth, specifically made to slay old gods. Qing Shan, I originally didn't want to tell you this, but I know that for a sword cultivator, the sword is everything. Rather than having you randomly search for it in the outside world, only to fail and the Earth Sword fall and disappear, it's better for me to tell you the truth. Your mind and wisdom are more than enough. Unfortunately, you are not suited to go to the primordial heaven realm, Shifu. Have you been to that place before? Gu Qing Shan couldn't help but ask. Of course I have. In truth, every sect master of Barren Cloud Heavenly Palace is given a chance to enter the primordial heaven realm. Otherwise, how do you think I was able to learn so many samsara divine skills? Xie Daoling revealed a bitter smile and continued. In the past, when I was still a disciple of Barren Cloud Heavenly Palace, I read that the founding ancestor of our sect once discussed Tao with the divinities, so I thought the sect was just bragging. Chapter 719. Tribulation lightning continued to strike in the sky. Qin Shaolu was still facing his tribulation. In Baihua Palace, an extremely secretive conversation was continuing. The Earth Sword is about to die. Not even the infinite worlds can save it. But the Heaven Sword is the Earth Sword's twin swords. Only the Heaven Sword can transfer its origin to the Earth Sword and repair it, Xie Daoling slowly explained. Gu Qing Shan couldn't wait. Shifu, please take me in a Barren Cloud Heavenly Palace and take me to the primordial heaven realm. Not yet, Xie Daoling shook her head. To enter the primordial heaven realm, you need two things: the sect's primordial heaven realm warp formation and the Heavenly Palace's protective jade disc. The former can take you to that world, while the latter can protect your life. But now, the Heavenly Palace's protective jade disc has used up the last of its power and is completely destroyed. Shifu. Then what do we do? Xie Daoling continued to shake her head. Truthfully, even with the Heavenly Palace's protective jade disc, it will be very difficult for you to find the Heaven Sword. Why not? Because it isn't inside Barren Cloud Heavenly Palace. It is scattered somewhere in the primordial heaven realm. Gu Qing Shan was confused. Can't I just look for it myself after I go to that world? It's not that simple. Xie Daoling looked at her disciple and slowly explained. The sect had warned us long ago that every sect master of Barren Cloud Heavenly Palace cannot leave Barren Cloud Heavenly Palace after entering the primordial heaven realm. Why is that? Because the primordial heaven realm is too dangerous. Only by using the Heavenly Palace's jade disc can we barely survive in the Heavenly Palace. Our goal in going to the primordial heaven realm is only to look through the sect's old scriptures and find the most suitable path and secret scriptures for ourselves. Once we leave the heavenly palace, we will immediately lose our lives. Gu Qingshan thought for a bit and spoke. The cultivation world's laws limit a cultivator's cultivation, so they wouldn't be as strong as they were in the age of old. That's why they need the jade disc to protect them? That's not the case. Our founding ancestor had warned us that only by reaching a certain level of cultivation can we leave the heavenly palace and explore the primordial heaven realm. Siet Dao Ling lightly sighed. In the past, when the old gods were still in the heaven realm, they did everything in their power to create the samsara, frequently interacting with the human realm. As for the separation of the primordial heaven realm and the samsara, it happened later. No one knows why all the ancient gods disappeared. The Earth Sword was obtained by the founding master by chance. He solemnly told his descendants that this sword must be passed down. Gu Qingshan interrupted. After the disappearance of the ancient gods, the human world cut off contact with the heaven realm. That's right, no one knows why only my barren cloud heavenly palace is able to communicate with primordial heavenly palace. Perhaps it was because the ancestral master was the strongest cultivator back then, that he was able to construct a formation that could allow one to travel between the two realms. The ancestor once warned the future sect masters that this was the ultimate secret of a sect. Once it was exposed, it would inevitably lead to an unpredictable disaster. Therefore, this matter is only known by the sect masters of each generation. Xie Dao Ling appeared nostalgic and continued. But the peak of prosperity comes the end. There is no such thing as a sect that stays strong forever. By the time I joined the sect was already on the decline. And because of me, the sect was eventually destroyed, but all of the sect's inheritance and secret were passed down to me by my master at the very last moment. Qing Shan, since you've never joined any other sect when you're able to go to the primordial heaven realm, I will accept you into Barren Cloud Heavenly Palace and let you inherit the position of sect master. Gu Qingshan was confused. But the Earth Sword is about to fall. When can I go to the primordial heaven realm? Xie Dao Ling lightly stroked the Earth Sword with one hand while forming a complicated hand seal with the other, infusing it with spirit energy. The hand seal was completed. Immediately, the jade box that contained the Earth Sword hovered in the air without moving, as if it was frozen. This is my sealing technique. It can slow down the flow of time in a certain location. The Earth Sword destruction will become a long process until you're strong enough. It was now that Gu Qingshan sighed in relief. Xie Dao Ling continued. According to the sect's founding ancestor, you must be strong enough to leave Barren Cloud Heavenly Palace and explore the primordial heaven realm. She smiled deprecatingly. Before, whenever I read the sect's records, I always felt that those realms only existed in legends. It wasn't until I entered the 900 million world layers that I realized the founding ancestors' words weren't false. Gu Qingshan replied, regarding cultivation realms, I roughly know that above. Tribulation realm are virtualized and cryptic realm. Other than that, I don't know much. Didn't they tell you anything when you were at the Iron Fist Club? Xie Dao Ling asked. Gu Qingshan helplessly replied. Miao only said that there are too many combatants of various abilities within the 900 million world layers. The only difference is whether I could defeat them or not, and only when I'm able to break through the void of space to see the world would I be qualified to hear about the difference between combatants. That's for your own good, to prevent you from having any false thoughts. Xie Dao Ling continued. In truth, according to the ancient cultivation world's standard of classification, the cultivation realms of us cultivators are more detailed. I can explain them to you. Projection, tribulation, virtualized, and cryptic. You already know about these 4 realms. After these 4 realms, there are 4 more realms. Chaotic Star, Origin Convergence, Radiant Soul, and Void Beholder. Chaotic Star is 3 times stronger than Cryptic. Origin Convergence is 12 times stronger than Chaotic Star. Only at Radiant Soul Realm can one shatter the sky with a single strike. That's when you're considered a beginner within the 900 million world layers and can be called a Dao Lord. Gu Qingshan pondered. The Dao Lord who died in the Cultivation Alliance was a Radiant Soul Realm cultivator. That's right, he was a radiant soul realm cultivator. He could only shatter the sky, but couldn't see the true void of space and manifest the infinite worlds in front of him. Gu Shan sighed emotionally. So even a Tao Lord isn't considered a true beginner. The manifestation of the infinite worlds is called Void Beholder Realm. Only by reaching Void Beholder Realm can one be considered a beginner, able to traverse the infinite worlds. What happens after Void Beholder Realm? Gu Shan curiously asked. That's a completely different world. The mainstream realms of the 900 million world layers. It's still too early to talk about that right now, Xie Dao Ling slowly replied. Gu Shan couldn't help but think of Iron Fist Bali, how he broke through countless worlds with a single strike, causing the entire angel port to appear in the void of space. He couldn't help but ask, Shifu, what realm are you at now? How far are you from Dao Lord? Xie Dao Ling stayed silent for a bit, then chuckled. I'm a stranger in the Cultivation Alliance. Not only do I have to fight against the demon army, but I also have to be wary of the evil hearts of others. So I've made sure to hide myself. But they said that you're the only one who managed to win a single battle. That's because I had no other choice, being forced to that point. If I don't win, I'll die, which means Shifu has been biding her time. Not only that, but after that, I've taken another step forward. Xie Dao Ling swung her arm, clenched her fist, and lightly punched the void of space. Divine skill, Skyfall. This was a soundless punch, yet another scene that seemed familiar to him. The void of space instantly split apart, like two curtains being pulled apart. It was more like an unimaginably vast power that could easily split the deep ocean. The void of space split apart, as the images of countless worlds overlapped, manifesting above the three of them one after another. This punch broke through the limits of the laws of the world, manifesting the worlds in the void of space in front of them. Gu Shan saw 5 to 6 images of worlds neatly lined up, manifesting one after another. Although this wasn't as powerful as Bali's attack, which was able to pierce through millions of worlds, it was still shocking enough. Shifu. Gu Shan was so shocked that her mouth felt dry, only able to utter those 2 words. 100 Flowers Fairy waved her hand. In an instant, all the illusory worlds disappeared. The entire Baihua Palace returned to normal, as if everything that happened just now was nothing but an illusion. 100 Flowers Fairy casually said, after fusing 5 worlds and fighting against the demon army every day, if I still can't become a proper cultivator under such circumstances, I won't be able to fight against the 900 million world layers anymore. Let's get back to business. Qing Shan, if you want to go to the primordial heaven realm to find the heaven sword, you'll have to quickly increase your cultivation. What should I do? Chapter 720. The black clouds in the sky scattered. Qin Shaolu had successfully passed the lightning tribulation. Although he received 100 Flowers Fairy's affirmation, Qin Shaolu still hadn't returned to the ground. He was still sitting on top of the kite, holding a jade tag in his hand, and seriously studying an ascended realm scripture. Both Xie Dao Ling and Gu Shan had never seen Xiao Lu so focused on his cultivation before. If it was any other day, he would have already flown down and couldn't wait to find a place to have some fun. Xie Dao Ling and Gu Shan retracted their inner sight, both in a good mood. For Qin Shaolu to have such a performance, it was like the sun rising from the west, a very good feeling. Gu Shan and 100 Flowers Fairy discussed for a bit, then smiled and gave the 7-colored fragrance bag back to Shifu. This was the entire inheritance and resource reserve of Baihua sect. Looking at this 7-colored fragrance bag, both the master and disciple felt a bit emotional. Too many things have happened in the past few days. Fortunately, everyone managed to survive. Gu Shan said, I've put all the scriptures and techniques of the suspended world into this jade tag. Furthermore, I've also made a copy of many of the sect's jade tags to slowly study. Would Shifu allow me to do so? Gu Shan asked. Of course not, Xie Dao Ling replied. Then this disciple will take her leave first. Gu Shan nodded, stood up, and prepared to return to rest. Wait, Qin Shan, 100 Flowers Fairy called out. Does Shifu have something else to tell you? While I was in the Cultivation Alliance, I was fighting and cultivating at the same time. I also studied the techniques and achievements of other cultivation worlds to compare them with what I've learned. Xie Dao Ling took out a jade tab from her sleeve and tossed it to Gu Shan. She said, "There's a secret art that even I feel is quite useful, so I thought of a way to exchange this secret art from someone else. Since you're a sword cultivator, I'll pass this secret art to you." Gu Shan took the jade slip. She was so grateful that she couldn't find any words to express her gratitude. She could only cup her fists and say, "Thank you, master." Xie Dao Ling said it lightly, but he understood very well. Secret arts were hard to come by. Everyone said that the secret sword was a sword cultivator's thaumaturgy. Its power was unparalleled. The 100 Flowers Fairy has always had high standards, so a secret sword technique that caught her, I must be extraordinary. To exchange for such a rare secret sword from someone else, she must have paid a lot of expensive resources. But in the entire Baihua sect, he was the only sword cultivator. So for her own sake, she thought a way to exchange this secret sword technique from someone else. Gu Shan's heart was filled with warmth. "Take it back and study it. Try to learn this secret art as soon as possible. All right, you can go rest now," 100 Flowers Fairy said. Gu Shan did not say much. She nodded slightly and left. On the way back to Orchid Hall, Gu Shan couldn't help but sigh. Shifu treats me so well as every disciple, as if they're family. How can I not work hard? But when Gu Shan recalled what she saw, she still couldn't believe that it was all real. Bali was standing in a super-dimensional world, able to easily break through multiple world layers. That was because super-dimensional worlds themselves were connected to countless worlds, so it was relatively easy to break through the void of space. But Shifu was standing in a samsara world, able to break through the void of space with a single punch. In comparison, although Shifu was far weaker than Bali, she was actually much stronger than what she showed. Shifu really is the strongest person in the cultivation world. Those people who chose Shifu to be the leader of the Alliance sure have good eyes. Gu Shan sighed and returned to Orchid Hall. Inside the hall, everything had been cleaned up and cleaned. However, the hall was quite spacious, so it felt a bit lonely to be here by myself. Fortunately, it was quite spacious, so there was a gentle breeze that made it feel comfortable. Sitting on a cushion, Gu Shan began to ponder about the strife zones. His homeworld was currently under the protection of the old gods, currently being modified so that no living beings could enter or leave. So he couldn't return right now. Right now, if he wanted to quickly increase his cultivation, he would have to go to the strife zones. The giant corpse once said this. Bali and Miao both had the same opinion. And now, even Shifu felt that this should be the case. So she began to use her authority to prepare for this. Gu Shan made up his mind and began to prepare for the trip to the strife zones. He checked his belongings one by one. The 7-color brocade bag had been returned to Shifu. Although he used some of his things, after adding in Wang Hong Dao's things, the sect's resources had actually increased quite a bit. However, Gu Shan also kept a few useful things for himself. At the very least, he made a copy of all the scripture jade tags. Right now, he was holding a jade tag in his hand. A few lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. Huang Quan Path Divine Skill, Forgetting River. To cultivate this divine skill, the following prerequisites must be fulfilled. A female cultivator. 5th stage Elementalist Spirit Energy Talent. God's Chosen Skill. Soul Call, Secret Art. Seal Bodying Shift, Secret Art. Soul Comes Soul Goes, Samsara Divine Contract. Huang Quan Ferryman. Reading through it all, Gu Shan couldn't help but sigh. To cultivate a samsara causality divine skill, there are so many prerequisites. Fortunately, I've already released my soul, so all restrictions are no longer a problem. Gu Shan smirked and confidently ordered the War God UI. System, I want to use soul points to cultivate the Forgetting River divine skill. Ting. The system let out a clear chime. The War God UI replied, You cannot cultivate this divine skill. Gu Shan was stunned and hurriedly asked, Why is that? I've already released my soul. shouldn't there be no restrictions for me to cultivate any skill? The war god Ui replied, Indeed, your soul has been released. You won't be restricted by any skill domain, but you will be restricted by gender restriction. Gu Qingshan almost spat up blood. In other words, this skill can only be learned by a female cultivator? He asked. Indeed, this is the most important prerequisite, Gu Qingshan sighed. Seems like I'm not fated to learn this skill. No, let's not. He took out a blade. The blade was completely black, but just by sitting there, countless screams of agony could be heard. Gray shadows circled around the blade. These gray shadows waited for a while, but when they didn't see any spells or spirit energy being used on the blade, they slowly faded away. This blade was thin and long. Rather than a weapon for killing, it was more appropriate to call it a medium for casting spells. This was the Corpse King Blade, a cryptic realm cultivator from the suspended world, Wang Hong Dao. This blade had accompanied Wang Hong Dao for countless years, witnessing each and every one of his battles, as well as all of his combat skills. Gu Qingshan reached his hand out and lightly held the blade. Right away, the War God skills tab on the War God UI lit up. Countless lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. All of the blade techniques Wang Hong Dao had used throughout his life, as well as the spells he cast using the blade as a medium, were displayed in front of Gu Qingshan's eyes. Only a small portion of Wang Hong Dao's skills were pure blade techniques. The majority of them were spells related to corpses and insects. This blade was imbued with so many evil techniques that Gu Qingshan couldn't help but scowl just by reading the description of the techniques and how to use them. He picked out the pure blade techniques, combined them with all of the blade techniques in by Hua sex inheritance, and comprehended them all at once. He gave up on all of the evil techniques. Following that, Gu Qingshan organized all of the archery techniques in the sex inheritance. In the cultivation world, archery was a very neglected branch, so she didn't have a lot of archery techniques in her collection, only a few basic archery techniques. Gu Qingshan thought for a bit, then took out Guang Yang's sex collection and carefully searched through them. Finally, he found a set of archery techniques, but there was only one of them. It could be seen that in the cultivation system, archery wasn't a mainstream attack technique. Gu Qingshan didn't mind. After all, he had already forgotten all of his archery skills. Only shifting flurry was left. He quickly comprehended all of these basic archery techniques. After the blade and the bow, it was time for the jade tag that Shifu gave him. Gu Qingshan lightly held it. Lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. You've discovered a new secret sword technique. Chapter 721. Gu Qingshan seriously stared at the War God UI. He really wanted to know what this secret art that even Shifu thought was decent was like. Lines of glowing text slowly appeared. Secret art, Life Seeker. When you are within 10 feet of the enemy, you can slash them from afar. Attention! This secret art can only be used when you are within 10 feet of the enemy. Attention! This secret art can be used at the same time as other secret arts. Within 10 feet, Soul Seeker will kill. To learn this secret art, 2,000 soul points is required. Gu Qingshan almost forgot to breathe. Even with flying swords, if a flying sword can't take them down for a long time, the only way for a sword cultivator to truly use their full power to kill is still when they get close to the enemy. In a battle against a sword cultivator, the thing that any profession fears the most is a sword cultivator getting close to them. But this secret art, Life Seeker, grants the sword cultivator an extra distance of 10 feet. When they're still 10 feet away from the enemy, the sword cultivator can swing their swords and slash the enemy's body. This is enough to catch the enemy off guard and kill them in an instant. Within 10 feet, life and death are already decided. No wonder the secret art is called Life Seeker. It can be used at the same time as other secret arts, which means I can use Swallow Returns from 10 feet away. No wonder even Shifu thinks highly of this secret art, Gu Qingshan muttered. He closed his eyes and spent 2,000 soul points without hesitation to learn Life Seeker. A warm flow came from the jade tag, flowed through his arm into his thoughts sea, turned into countless swordsmanship understandings and entered Gu Qingshan's mind. A few moments later, Gu Qingshan opened his eyes. He casually took out the Chao Yin sword and looked at the wall of the palace not too far away. After thinking for a bit, Gu Qingshan lightly swung the sword in the air. Pew! A long scraping sound came from the wall. Something sharp seemed to have sliced through the wall. Gu Qingshan stood up. His body turned into a blurred image as he swung his sword back and forth in the palace. He was clearly very far away from the wall, but every time he struck, new scratches would appear on the wall. After a while, Gu Qingshan sheathed her sword. Very well. Having the secret art is much better than having dozens of normal secret arts, he sighed. Walking back to the cattail hassock, Gu Qingshan sat down again. He glanced at the war god UI. After comprehending the saber, bow, and sword, Zhang Xian had expended quite a bit of his soul energy, leaving him with around 60,000. He still had enough soul power. Next, Gu Qingshan took out a few more jade scrolls and started to choose suitable spells. The Tao of sorcery was based on the activation of spiritual primordial energy and the corresponding Dharma array. It was divided into metal, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, thunder, light, dark, and sound. Gu Qingshan was a lightning elemental cultivator to begin with. Now that she had broken away from the limitations of swordsmanship, she could practice lightning elemental spells. Although he had a lot of soul energy, he couldn't learn everything. That would be a waste. Gu Qingshan didn't want to specialize in spells because he wasn't interested in them. He only needed to pick out a few spells that he could use in case of emergencies. Understanding the spells took a bit more time. After that, it was martial arts. To increase the power of the divine skill, Skyfall, I need to have a certain level of foundation in martial arts. Increasing martial arts cultivation will strengthen the cultivator's body. Even for a sword cultivator, this is a good thing. Once his martial arts cultivation has reached a certain level, Gu Qingshan turned his attention to another divine skill. Martial thaumaturgy, unbreakable mountain range. The night slowly fell silent. Dawn had arrived. Gu Qingshan was crouching next to a stream at the back of the mountain, carefully scrubbing a large iron pot. He was going to make breakfast for the entire sect. Taking out the utensils one by one and arranging them neatly, Gu Qingshan began to think about what to cook today. Shifu said that she doesn't eat, but if you give her a bowl of spirit flower porridge, she won't refuse. White Goose already told me yesterday that it wants to eat spicy noodles in the morning. That's not a contradiction. Xiao shouldn't eat too much in the morning, so a cold dragon's tear bowl, as well as a cup of spirit tea to recover the soul vessel, should be enough. Qing Ro and Wan Er didn't express any wishes. They could eat either porridge or noodles with Shifu. Xiao Lu, while Gu Qingshan was thinking, a flame came flying towards him. He received the talisman and infused it with spirit energy. Xiet Dao Ling's voice came from the talisman. Make a bit more delicious today. We have two guests coming. Gu Qingshan was a bit surprised. Shifu was a person who cared a lot about face, so since she specifically sent a talisman to tell him to make a bit more delicious, Gu Qingshan had no choice but to do his best. In one breath, he made 16 plates of spirit dishes and a large pot of spirit porridge. He also cooked the noodles, removed the water, and filled them with the delicious spirit plant soup that he had prepared earlier. He then carefully mixed the sauce and spread it into the bowl of noodles. With his soup and sauce, he only needed to use a pair of chopsticks to mix the noodles for the fragrance to fill the entire Bai Hua hall. At this point, Bai Hua Sect's breakfast had been prepared. Qing Ro and Wan Er had already arrived. They watched as Gu Qingshan busied himself and prepared a sumptuous meal. Smiles crept onto the faces of the two women. They helped Gu Qingshan pack up the spirit food and return to Bai Hua Hall together. At this point, the rest of Bai Hua Sect had already arrived. Gu Qingshan was surprised to see two familiar faces. Ning Yuechan, Lung Tianxing. So the so-called guests were the two of them. Ning Yuechan looked at Gu Qingshan, then at the pot of porridge in his arms, and said in surprise, I thought the one in charge of cooking in your sect was Qin Xiaolu. Xiaolu has been busy breaking through recently, so I'm in charge of the meals, Gu Qingshan said. After arranging the food, He came up and shook Lung Tianxing's fist. Long time no see. It really has been a long time. The two of them smiled at each other. After all, they've been through life and death together, so of course their camaraderie wouldn't fade away. All right, let's have breakfast first, then we'll catch up, 100 Flowers Fairy said. Everyone stopped talking and sat down to eat. Under normal circumstances, when Bai Hua sect members eat, they can chat while eating. But if there are outsiders, Bai Hua sect disciples have to maintain their etiquette, so it's best not to say a single word while eating. This is the rule of a large sect. Normally, 100 Flowers Fairy doesn't care about it, but when there are guests, she still has to take her face into consideration. So everyone ate their breakfast in silence. Sure enough, 100 Flowers Fairy only ate some spirit porridge. White Goose ate 2 bowls of noodles, then happily munched on a braised duck neck. Qin Xiaolu tasted all 16 dishes of spirit cooking, showing an expression of infatuation and contemplation. If it weren't for the fact that he couldn't talk today, he would have had a good chat with Gu Qingshan about these dishes. Xiao Xiao was frowning as she ate the fixed diet to repair her soul vessel. But after she finished, Gu Qingshan also gave her a small bowl of noodles, as well as a plate of snacks. Xiao Xiao was happy. Qing Ro ate very slowly, with great manners, and Wan Er didn't lose out. While eating, Lung Tianxing secretly gave Gu Qingshan a thumbs up. You're quite good, he silently sent his voice. Eat a bit more, Gu Qingshan replied. While eating, Ning Yuechan occasionally glanced at Gu Qingshan. As she ate, she showed a surprised expression on her face. As the sect saintess, she's quite knowledgeable when it comes to spirit cooking. These spirit cooking dishes were already top-notch, not at all inferior to Qin Xiaolu's. Ning Yuechan couldn't help but silently send her voice. I didn't know, but you're quite good at spirit cooking. Gu Qingshan immediately raised her tail. Of course, my cooking skills are renowned across many worlds. Normal people wouldn't be able to eat them. Ning Yuechan looked at her and couldn't help but exclaim, That's right, whoever marries you will be blessed with good food. Chapter 722. 16 side dishes, including porridge and noodles, all of which were made from top-grade ingredients. Everyone was very satisfied with this breakfast. Gu Qingshan, Qing Ro, and Wan Er put away the utensils and served everyone some spirit tea. No need to leave any tea for me. I'm going to cultivate. Qin Xiaolu stood up and patted Gu Qingshan's shoulder. He left Bai Hua Palace, flew back to the kite, sat down, and quickly entered a meditative state. What is he, Dash? Lung Tianxing asked in confusion. Gu Qingshan hurriedly explained. This is one of our sect cultivation methods. Aside from cultivating, he can't even move a single step. Your sect style is truly admirable, Lung Tianxing praised. None of Bai Hua's sect disciples said anything. All right, let's get down to business, 100 Flowers Fairy said. To be more precise, it's about Qingshan, Ning Yuechan, and Lung Tianxing. The 3 of you 100 Flowers Fairy continued. I've discussed with the great monk of sorrow, General Gong's son, as well as the heads of the sections. Finally, from the younger generation of the cultivation world, I've chosen the 3 of you to represent our world's newcomers. Lung Tianxing is a UG general. Before coming here, his salary and supplies have all been replenished. Ning Yuechan is a Ding Yuan general. She's always been the vanguard in every battle, always fighting at the forefront, earning her the rank of Yongzhen general. Ning Yuechan, in the previous battles, your armor was already half destroyed. You've already requested for a new one. I'll now give you a new Yongzhen general armor. Saying so, 100 Flowers Fairy took out a brand new set of armor and lightly gave it to Ning Yuechan. The armor floated in front of Ning Yuechan. Ning Yuechan clasped her fist. Thank you, Saint. Tried on. Xie Daoling nodded and smiled. Everyone couldn't help but look at the Yongzhen general armor. It was a set of snow-white female metal armor. Countless complex runes were etched on it, and every part was slender and elegant. Ning Yushi immediately struck with her palm, heavily hitting the armor. The armor was scattered in the air, and all the components flew around Ning Yuechan and quickly put on her body. A snow-white longsword and snow-white armor. Ning Yuechan looked dignified and feminine. She walked a few steps, and moved a little, feeling the armor on her body. A moment later, she revealed a satisfied expression. Gu Shan, on the other hand, fell into deep thought and said, I don't think we've been able to make armor of this level before. Ning Yuechan replied, Of course, after we obtained Shenwu World, we studied this world's smithing techniques. And your Shifu also found a top-tier smithing technique from the Cultivation Alliance to fuse with it. Lung Tianxing also said, Our weapon and armor smithing techniques have already surpassed the past. If we had to compare them in terms of quality, the difference is like the clouds and mud. Gu Shan nodded, feeling comforted. Smithing is one of the 6 arts, and the 6 arts are the foundation of cultivation civilization. The stronger the 6 arts are, the stronger the power of cultivation civilization will be. At this point, Xie Daoling took out another inventory bag and tossed it to Ning Yuechan. Ning Yuechan, your Yongzhen general armor has been replenished. The rest of the supplies are also in this inventory bag. You can check them one by one. Lung Tianxing, Ning Yuechan, do you feel like there's anything missing? Lung Tianxing and Ning Yuechan both shook their heads. Before coming here, they had already been armed to the teeth by the seniors of their sect. They more or less knew what they were going to face next, so they were mentally prepared. 100 Flowers Fairy then turned to Gu Shan and said, Shan, let's talk about your military merits. Me? Military merits? Gu Shan pointed at his own nose, a bit confused. That's right. When Shenwu World was facing calamity, you persuaded the Tianma to help and killed a virtualized realm cultivator, saving the entire cultivation world, but you yourself were transported to another world after our discussion. As well as considering your current cultivation realm, your military rank has also been increased accordingly. You were originally a UG general, but because of this great achievement, we all agree that you are worthy of the title of Shun Wei Guqing. Shan paused, unable to react. Shifu, isn't this a bit too big of a jump? He muttered. The military ranks of the cultivation world, not to mention the lower ranks, but the ranks of generals can be divided into 4 ranks. From lowest to highest, they are UG, Dingyuan, Yongzhen, and Shunwei. Gu Shan was instantly promoted from UG general to the highest rank, Shunwei general. Ning Yuechan walked up and smiled. Congratulations, this is what you deserve. Lung Tianxing also said, It is what you deserve. Xiao happily smiled. Senior brother, you're now a Shunwei general. Qing Ro asked Wan Er, Is Shunwei the highest rank of general? Ah, I remember that's how they split it, Wan Er replied. Qing Ro then told Gu Shan, Senior brother, you definitely deserve it. Wan Er nodded. The things he's done are all things that no one else can do. If someone like him can't become a Shunwei general, then who else can? Xie Daoling smiled. We've already prepared everything for you. But as for your weapons, I knew that the swords you're using aren't normal weapons. So, with the principle of better to have nothing than to have something shoddy, we didn't give you anything. If you don't have a weapon, then what will you use to compensate senior brother? Xiao quickly asked. I've already used a lot of this world's resources to exchange for a sword's secret art for him, 100 Flowers Fairy answered. Gu Shan was surprised. So that's how it is. Shifu is truly thoughtful. Then what about the armor? Qing Ro worriedly asked. Armor is a necessity for a sword cultivator. So of course I prepared a brand new Shun Wei general armor for him. 100 Flowers Fairy smiled. It took 12 smiths to finish it. This armor could be considered the highest level of smithing in this world. She tossed an inventory bag to Gu Shan. Everyone stared at Gu Shan, wanting to see what the armor looked like. Gu Shan didn't open the inventory bag right away and instead asked, What are we going to do? Are we going to the Strife Zones? 100 Flowers Fairy replied, Not at all. The Strife Zones is a place where countless races fight for supremacy. Although it's common for large numbers of people to die in battle, as long as you can survive, you'll be able to quickly become stronger. So it's very hard for normal people to enter. For the last few dozen years, quite a few cultivator worlds have been captured by the Demon King Order. The remaining cultivation worlds have to fight against the demonized, as well as their own internal strife. Because of that, their strength has fallen to the bottom of the professions. So the number of people who can enter the strife zones has been decreasing year by year. Her expression slowly turned serious as she spoke. Because I've taken control of the Cultivation Alliance, I was the one who suggested that this year's newcomer selection be brought forward. You must win against several 10,000 young cultivators from different cultivation worlds and become the strongest newcomers in order to be qualified to represent the cultivators in the strife zones. Gu Qingshan thought for a bit and asked, "Is there no other way to enter the strife zones?" 100 Flowers Fairy looked at him and replied, "There is. You can go and beg Chen Wang or the Lord-class combatants of other large-scale professions. Ask them to give you one of their newcomer slots. But I must remind you, within humanity, any professions must go through the same newcomer challenge, using their own strength to speak for themselves and become the strongest within their category in order to obtain the final qualification. The strong enter, the weak leave. This has always been the rule of humanity's combatants, as well as the fairest selection system. If you go and beg a combatant of Chen Wang's caliber, he might give it to you, but that would be the same as taking away the qualification that should have belonged to someone else." Gu Qingshan immediately shook her head. "Then forget it. There's no need to beg others for this. I'll go and get the qualification myself," Ning Yuechan agreed. "We can just go and get it ourselves. There's no need to beg others," Lung Tianxing also agreed. "That's right. That's how it should be." Hearing that, 100 Flowers Fairy's eyes also flashed with satisfaction. Indeed, on the path of cultivation, there are a few things that can be asked for help. But in this type of fair competition and selection, if a cultivator doesn't have any intention of moving forward and instead tries to take shortcuts, they won't be recognized by others, nor will they be respected by anyone. That's not what a combatant would do. Xie Dao Ling then told the disciples, "Buying Tian, you will guard the sect and teach the other disciples," while White Goose replied, "Understood. Xiao Xiao, Qing Ro, One Air. The three of you cultivate well and try to enter the strife zones when the next opportunity comes." "Yes, sure, Fu," the three girls answered at once. Before Gu Qingshan, Ning Yuechan, and Lung Tianxing could react, Xie Daoling waved her sleeves, and the three of them disappeared from the hall. "I'll send them to participate in the newcomer selection." Chapter 723. The World Arbitration Council. This was a small office. After all, no one would normally work here. But this was still an important department of the 900 million World Layers Alliance. Only Lord-class combatants would be able to join this department. Because of that, after careful consideration, the higher-ups decided to increase the office space for this important department a bit to accommodate a large table. With this table, everyone would at least be able to play cards and get to know each other. Chen Wang threw his cards on the table, stretched his back, then pushed his chair away and stood up. "I didn't win or lose. What about you guys?" he asked. "Bullshit. You clearly won the most," his card buddy, a bear, angrily said. "Forget it. People like us don't care about winning or losing at all," a man wearing a black cloak said. "But that Chen Wang brat went out to do something, then came back and started to win money," a mechanical arm said. "What did you do?" The bear couldn't help but ask. "Bali's little bro was in a bit of trouble, so I went to do him a favor, but it ended up helping me earn quite a bit instead." Chen Wang smiled. Seeing that everyone was interested, Chen Wang told them what happened. "Bali's little bro? I remember now. I think he's called Gu Qingshan," the bear muses. "Ah, that's right. I've seen him before. He's a good swordsman, most likely going to be a tough character in the future," the mechanical arm said. "I heard rumors that Queen of Thorns seems to be quite close to him," the cloak said. "All right. You women only know how to listen to gossip every day. I'm not going to talk anymore. I have to go," the mechanical arm said. "Wait, it's my treat today. You can leave after eating," Chen Wang urged him to stay. "That's fine." Chen Wang, the bear, the cloaked man, and the mechanical arm all stood up and headed outside. They opened the door. All of a sudden, a huge commotion could be heard from the football field-sized office on the other side of the door. Various people of all shapes and sizes filled that office. Everyone was talking loudly, wanting to quickly express their opinions. The four of them went silent. "TCH, can't the Profession Affairs Department just calm down a bit? Luckily, we have soundproof walls," Chen Wang complained. "You have to understand their difficulties. There are so many new classes being born every day, and the booklet is almost full. They also have to examine the development of each class and arrange various qualifications for each class, Bear said. Just listening to it gives me a headache. I can't help but want to destroy a few worlds to relax a bit, the cloaked man said. Yeah, it's a good thing we don't have to do this kind of work, the mechanical arm sighed. Now that I think about it, Bali was the smart one. He was always in debt, so no department dared to hire him. They were afraid that he would be besieged by creditors and unable to work. Chun Wang lamented. Let's go, said the bear. The four of them had only taken a few steps when Chun Wang suddenly exclaimed in surprise. What is it? The cloaked man asked. That woman is Gu Qingshan's Shifu. Why is she coming here? There shouldn't be any problems with my arrangements. Chun Wang was confused. While talking, Xie Daoling had already seen Chun Wang. She walked up to him without hesitation, cupped her fists and greeted, Your Excellency Chun Wang, we meet again. Why are you here at the arbitration committee? Did something go wrong with what happened before? Chun Wang doubtfully asked. No, I'm here at the Professionist Union to apply for a cultivator professionist qualification to enter the strife zones, Xie Daoling explained. Newcomer selection, which means Gu Qingshan is going to enter the strife zones. That's right. Xie Daoling swung her sleeves and let Gu Qingshan's group out. Chun Wang, Big Bear, and Yunji and Dark Flame as well. Gu Qingshan was surprised. Hey, hello, youngster. Little brother is always so handsome. Big sis will treat you to a meal next time. Qingshan, how have you been? The four of them greeted him. The cloaked man even took off her cloak to reveal her alluring appearance. So she was Yunji, a female Lord-class combatant. My apologies. We're here to take care of business. If you're busy, we won't bother you, Gu Qingshan politely replied. Chun Wang looked at the people around him and said, It's fine. We'll come with you. My fighting prowess isn't even worth mentioning in front of you. What's there to see? Gu Qingshan mocked herself. After joining the Justice Iron Fist Club, he still had some basic knowledge about the infinite worlds. To avoid casualties, as well as to preserve as much of their strength as possible, humanity's qualification selection to enter the strife zones didn't require battle. The qualification selection to enter the strife zones was actually done through a large-scale mystic-type spell, followed by a technological machine to count and filter the participants. Chun Wang smiled. I'm just worried that you might accidentally lose your spot because you don't understand something. That's right. Back then, Bali wanted to enter the strife zones, but he couldn't even get a spot after being stuck as a boxer for so long. Yinji teased him. Everyone exchanged glances and couldn't help but chuckle. What's wrong with him? Gu Qingshan couldn't help but ask. His profession is a boxer, but during each test, he doesn't even know to wear a gauntlet, so the spell silently considers him to be in a non-combat state. His fighting prowess is only 30%, so of course he can't compare to anyone else. The mechanical arm called Dark Flame couldn't help but chuckle. Did anyone tell him? Gu Qingshan asked. All boxers are competitors. Who would bother to tell him? Not to mention that old brat Bali was always too impatient to listen to the rules. He always started the test right away. That's why it wasn't until his strength improved so much that he was able to stand above everyone else with only 30% of his strength that he received the qualification. But his sister Miao was different. She passed the test right away. That's right. Now that I think about it. It was only during the last battle that I found out about her true strength. Gu Qingshan looked at the four lords that came with him and finally understood. They were worried that something would go wrong during the test. 100 Flowers Fairy naturally understood this as well. So she took this chance to ask the question in her mind. Sir Chun Wang, do lords like you have a lot of slots? You mean the slots to enter the strife zones? Ahaha, of course not. Because if someone wants to enter without being strong enough, wouldn't that be suicide? Big Bear added, not to mention, you humans aren't as simple as we are. You have several tens of thousands of professions, so it's impossible for a wizard to take over a group of boxers without any professions, Dark Flame also added. If this wizard who stole someone else's slot was killed by a boxer in the strife zones who didn't like him, that would be too embarrassing. They all laughed, as if they were talking about something that had already happened. That's why everything depends on strength. This is the fairest way. as well as a way to protect the weak. After all, a lot of people die in the strife zones every day. The weak simply can't survive. Anyone with a bit of intelligence wouldn't go to the strife zones without enough strength. Hearing that, Xie Daoling was completely reassured. And here I thought the selection would be the same as the Cultivation Alliance, where everything depends on relationships. If it's a fair competition, my disciple wouldn't have any issues, she smiled and said. Chapter 724. As soon as they came in, someone came to greet them. The man was wearing a professional suit and respectfully bowed. "Boss, you've personally brought someone here?" Chen Wang replied. "It's just a small matter. Please help me take care of it." "No problem. We'll do it right away." "Don't worry," the man replied. Chen Wang patted his shoulder and smiled. "Your work attitude is quite good. I have high hopes for you." That person was overwhelmed by the favor and quickly said with a smile, "I dare not be careless. I dare not be careless." He took out his staff card and stamped it in the void of space. He said, "This humble one, staff card number 117, Profession Affairs Division 2nd Specialist. Please state your purpose here. This humble one will officially accept your request," Xie Daoling then explained. "I am the person in charge of the Cultivation Alliance. I will now submit an application for the newcomer screening of cultivator professions to determine the candidates to enter the strife zones." Hearing that, the man's expression calmed down. With so many lords accompanying them, he had thought it was some sort of big matter, so he quickly came out to handle it himself. Who knew it would be such a simple matter? "Very well, I'll get it done right away." Saying so, he took out his staff card again and stamped it in the void of space. Human Profession Encyclopedia. Summoner thud. With a heavy thud, a hardcover book the size of a desk fell in front of everyone. This book was already half a person's height. The man spoke apologetically. "I'm sorry, there are too many human professions. Even now, it's still increasing at an average rate of 17 new professions every year, so this book is constantly getting thicker." "It's fine. Please help us with this," Xie Daoling said. The man then put his hand on the cover of the book and read, "Madam Black C. Cultivator Human Professions submit an application. Hoping to participate in the newcomer screening of the strife zones, I hear you." A ray of blue light descended from the sky and landed on the encyclopedia. Following that, a loud female voice resounded from the encyclopedia. "Cultivator? Let me see." The thick book automatically flipped open and continued to flip to the back. Gu Shan stared at the pages of the book and saw the names of all kinds of professions. There were magician, card master, darkwalker, hunter assassin, knight, summoner, boxer, chant singer, twilight reaper, god servant, soul blade, shadow weaver, elemental phaser, psychic wave rider, musician, esper, wild beast fusion, adventurer, ocean overlord, boundary master. Gu Shan couldn't help but ask, "There's so many types of professions. What are the criteria used to classify them?" Chen Wang answered, "There are two factors to consider. The first is the type of power used, and the second is the direction of the world's development." Yunji also said, "That's right. Although you cultivators are divided into different categories, generally speaking, the power that cultivators use is spirit energy. Moreover, you all belong to the cultivation civilization, so you are classified as a single profession." At last the pages of the book stopped turning. Found that the female voice spoke. Within the 900 million world layers, there are currently a total of 19,560 cultivation-type worlds. To conduct the selection, each cultivation world must select 3 newcomers for me to compare and choose. Did you bring a list? The staff member asked Xie Daoling. Xie Daoling took out a jade tag and gave it to him. The staff member put the jade tag on the cover of the encyclopedia. The loud female voice resounded again. "There are a total of 58,680 people on the list. Please confirm that they are currently in this world." Xie Daoling spoke with a stern expression. "All newcomers of the Cultivation Alliance have been prepared. Everyone is currently in the 900 million World Layers Alliance world. The corresponding rules for entry have also been announced to each of you." The loud female voice spoke. "Very well. It seems this time's work has gone very smoothly. In 5 minutes, I will initiate the cultivation-type newcomer selection." "Thank you, Madam Black C," the staff member said. Chun Wang and the other lords also politely replied, "Thank you, madam. This is something I'm happy to do. There's no need to be so polite," the female voice replied. As soon as she said that, the blue light shot out from the encyclopedia and landed on Gu Qing Shan, Ning Yuechan, and Long Tianxing. The blue light quickly spread and enveloped the three of them. The 100 Flowers Fairy told the three of them, "Quickly put on your equipment. Equipment is also a part of a person's strength. And also, take out your weapons." Ning Yuechan put on her snow-white Yongzhen general armor, wielded her blade, and thought, "I feel like something isn't right. What is it?" Long Tianxing also put on his light golden Yu-Ji general armor and held a fan in his hand. If a newcomer is given a particularly powerful weapon and the strongest armor, wouldn't they pass the test right away? Ning Yuechan asked. "That won't happen," the mechanical arm continued. Madame Black Sea will use mystic-type magic to measure the compatibility between a professionist and their armor, so those who borrow other people's armor will be directly eliminated. As for the weapons, it's funny how some newcomers can't even swing a single powerful divine weapon. Of course, this doesn't escape the eyes of Madame Black Sea. She can observe them from the soul level. Madame Black Sea is also a Lord-class combatant? Gu Qing Shan asked with interest. "Ah, no," Chun Wang replied. "She's a lot stronger than we are. Furthermore, she's been around for a very long time. Helping the 900 Million World Layers Alliance select newcomers is only her hobby," Big Bear commented. The staff member agreed. "That's right. It's a good thing she was willing to help us. Otherwise, who knows how many people we'd have to gather to complete this task." While everyone was talking, Gu Qing Shan also took out the Shun Wei general armor. The Shun Wei general armor was pure black. Only the mask was a faint golden color. Gu Qing Shan lightly tapped the armor. The various components of the armor scattered, circled around Gu Qing Shan once, and was donned in an instant. Gu Qing Shan put on the golden mask. Strands of black fog rose from the armor like thin threads, but at the same time, they also looked like tiny black flames that burned endlessly, making Gu Qing Shan look like a demonic god. He took out the Chao Yin sword and Six Paths Great Mountain sword from the void of space, holding them in his hands. "With this defensive armor, I'll feel a lot safer in the future when I go into battle." Gu Qing Shan moved her body a bit and said with satisfaction. Xie Dao Ling stared closely at Gu Qing Shan and said, "This armor can help you absorb spirit essence from the world, as well as effectively resist certain curses and soul vessel attacks. It's also the sturdiest of all the armor we have, making it the best armor we currently have." The cultivation world's smithing techniques had improved by several levels, far surpassing what they used to be. This armor was the highest grade general armor, the embodiment of the highest level of smithing techniques in the current cultivation world. "Time's up. Let the selection begin." Lady Black Sea's voice came again. A few moments later, the blue light that enveloped Gu Qing Shan, Ning Yuechan, and Lung Tianxing gave off a blinding light. In the blink of an eye, the three of them disappeared. "Very well. Please wait a moment." Lady Black Sea has always been quick in handling matters like the selection of newcomers, the staff member very politely told them. Chapter 725. Darkness filled the entire ocean. For countless years, silence had always reigned over this boundless ocean. Both time and space itself seemed to have disappeared. Within the darkness, everything was chaotic and indistinguishable. All of a sudden, 58,680 sprites of light lit up. Each of these sprites of light was a cultivator. A faint glow came from their bodies, illuminating their surroundings. Although the glow was faint, it was enough to illuminate their faces in this dark ocean. Everyone closed their eyes, as if they were being hypnotized, falling into some sort of deep slumber. Almost as soon as the 58,680 light spots appeared, the deep sea of darkness immediately reacted, as if someone had lightly blown on it. The sprites of light were like candles, unable to endure this kind of power, and quickly went out. 58,680, 41,961, 30,000, 10,050, 7,000, 40-3. Very soon, Almost all the specks of light in the dark ocean were extinguished, and only 3 specks of light remained. A female voice sounded a bit surprised as it resounded from within the ocean. "Ah, the cultivation world has been weak for a long time. To have 3 newcomers with enough strength to pass the test. How impressive. Time to check their identities. It's best if they aren't sneaky people." Following this voice, one of the 3 sprites of light became brighter, completely illuminating the cultivator's figure. It was a young man wearing a red armor. A decent martial arts seedling with a clean identity. Seems like he's been through many years of fighting. He might be able to survive in the strife zones, the female voice lightly resounded. The young man instantly disappeared from the dark ocean. Following that, the second sprite of light became brighter, exuding abundant spirit energy from the cultivator's body. It was a female cultivator wearing snow-white armor and wielding a snow-white blade in her hand. A female cultivator who uses a blade, clean identity, and a rare one to be so accomplished at such a young age. How interesting. Perhaps you can try it out in the strife zones, the female voice continued to comment with a hint of a smile. Ning Yuechan's figure also disappeared from the ocean. The last ray of light became brighter, illuminating the cultivator's body. He wore black armor, wielded a sword in each hand, and wore a golden mask. He was a sword cultivator. He stood motionlessly in the sea of darkness. With his armor, he looked like a god or a demon. A light radiated from his body, dispelling the darkness around him. For a moment, the female voice did not ring out, but the ocean began to change like never before. The undercurrents in the ocean surged furiously, surrounding the sword cultivator and forming an expanding whirlpool. All the darkness quickly disappeared. After ruling this world for an unknown number of years, the darkness had completely faded away at this moment. The entire sea turned into an intoxicating deep blue. In the deep blue seawater, the sword cultivator was still suspended in the center of the whirlpool. He floated quietly in the air. Suddenly, a jade-like hand reached out from the blue sea. This hand pressed on the sword shio's mask and forcefully pulled it off. The sword shio's face suddenly appeared in the water. Under the illumination of the pure blue light, the sharpness of the face could be seen. He paused for a while. The hand put the mask back into the water and let it float. The jade-like hand reached out again and lightly touched the sword cultivator's face. The female voice rang out again. "To avoid being exposed, my real body cannot stay here for too long. I will give you an identity to disguise yourself as a form of protection. You need to quickly become stronger. Gu Qing Shan." The mask was put back on. The whirlpool turned into a giant tidal wave that swallowed Gu Qing Shan, enveloped him, and disappeared without a trace. The entire sea of blue light quickly returned to its deep black color. Black Sea once again calmed down. Silence enveloped this place. From the looks of it, nothing had happened. The 900 Million World Layers Alliance. The Profession Affairs Division. Chen Wang's group stood there and waited for a bit longer. "It seems to be a bit slower this time," Chen Wang commented. The staff member smiled. "This means that a cultivation-type professionist has drawn Lady Blacksea's attention." "What kind of situation could draw Lady Blacksea's attention?" Xie Daoling asked. She couldn't help but be concerned. After all, the 3 people she brought this time were all decided by her. Gu Qingshan was also among them. "Relax. Normally, this is a good thing," Yin Ji said. The staff member also smiled. "That's right. Only outstanding newcomers would draw Lady Blacksea's attention. She might want to observe them for a bit longer. Aside from that, Lady Blacksea will also check the newcomer's identity. If she finds anything suspicious, she'll inform us right away." 3 blue lights flashed. In a flash, Gu Qingshan, Ning Yuechan, and Lung Tianxing appeared in front of everyone. Each of them held a tag in their hands. Lung Tianxing's tag was 5, Ning Yuechan's was 2, and Gu Qingshan's was 1. The only difference was that Lung Tianxing's tag was gray, while Gu Qingshan's and Ning Yuechan's were glowing. Chen Wang glanced at them and smiled. "Ah, Qingshan really is number 1. I knew it. How could someone that Bali likes be bad?" he loudly declared. Gu Qingshan was a bit surprised, looking at the tag in her hand. I didn't do anything, and I already passed the selection? What happened just now? There seemed to be a woman standing in front of him and saying something. But I can't remember what she said at all. Even the impression is very vague. What exactly did she say to me? Gu Qingshan tried her best to recall. Xie Daoling looked at Lung Tianxing and said, "Don't be discouraged. You're ranked 5th out of everyone here. Try harder when you get back. You'll definitely succeed next time." Lung Tianxing smiled bitterly, feeling both disappointed and happy. Disappointed because I didn't get chosen. Happy because I didn't think I'd be able to rank 5th out of so many newcomers from the cultivation world. Ning Yuechan looked at the two in her hand, then at the one in Gu Qingshan's hand. She couldn't help but want to reach for the blade on her hip, but quickly remembered where they were and gave up. Come to think of it, I haven't even fought against him yet, Ning Yuechan silently thought. At this point, a piece of paper lightly fell onto the Human Profession Encyclopedia. The staff member picked up the paper and respectfully bowed. "Thank you." Lady Black Sea Chun Wang crossed his arms. "No need to thank her. She left right after the selection and hasn't returned." The staff member awkwardly smiled, unfolded the paper, and read, "This year's Cultivator Profession Newcomer Selection has been completed. A total of 3 newcomers have reached the standard to enter the Strife Zones. They are Gu Shangyun, 3rd, 9 Mysteries World. Martial Cultivator, Newcomer, Clean. Background, Ning Yuechan, 2nd, Shenwu World. Blade User, Newcomer, Clean Background. Gu Qingshan, 1st, Shenwu World. Sword Cultivator, Ritter Ni." Everyone silently listened, their eyes all focused on Gu Qingshan. So he's a Ritter Ni. Bali and Miao sure have good eyes to be able to pick someone like that. The mechanical arm was surprised. Yunji also smiled, and here I was thinking if I could find a chance to bully this immature brat. Who knew he'd be a Ritter Ni? Gu Qingshan also heard the announcement. Chapter 726. As soon as Gu Qingshan asked that, the entire place went silent. The staff member was slowly unfolding a document in his hand. This document that was filled with words gave off a translucent membrane that enveloped him, the Lords, and Xie Daoling's group. The noisy Profession Affairs section was isolated from the outside. The staff member cleared his throat and spoke. In accordance with the 900 Million World Layers Alliance Chapter 5, Section 4, Article 77, the identity of every Ritter Ni must be kept a secret, and they must be provided with a certain amount of support and assistance in various aspects. Everyone, please sign your sole pledge on the confidentiality agreement. The staff member gave the document to Chen Wang and said, "Sir, please support our work. Of course, it's only natural saying so." Chen Wang happily put his finger on the document. The other 3 lords also reached out their hands and lightly touched the document. After that, Xie Daoling, Ning Yuechan, and Lung Tianxing all put their hands on the document. The staff member carefully put the document away and calmed down. He then told Gu Qingshan, "Now, I will officially explain your identity to you." "Thank you," Gu Qingshan replied. As the staff member was about to say something, Chen Wang stopped him. "That's enough. Everyone here has already signed a confidentiality agreement." Chen Wang said with a smile that didn't seem like a smile. "There's no need to use those official excuses here. After all, even if you try to fool him with those prepared explanations, we'll still tell him the truth in private." The staff member smiled bitterly and went silent. Chen Wang crossed his arms and asked Gu Qingshan, "Do you know about the old gods creating the world?" "I know a bit," Gu Qingshan honestly answered. Chen Wang continued, "Before the old gods created the world, there were already a few unique worlds that existed. After all, the old gods didn't just appear out of thin air. They also had their own places to live and rest. Those worlds are the territories of the gods. Apart from the gods, only those who are especially outstanding and deeply favored by the gods will receive the guidance of the gods. They will go to such worlds and live under the protection of the gods. Although these experts are not the descendants of the gods, they are too outstanding and powerful. In the unique environment of the divine world, they become more and more powerful, far beyond the scope of ordinary people's understanding. During that era, the worlds of the gods and the 900 million world layers were connected. As long as they received permission from the gods, people could travel between the worlds of the gods and their own worlds. Then the apocalypse came, the gods disappeared, and all those worlds were isolated. People living in the divine world can't get out, and outsiders can't get in. The people of those worlds should be able to avoid the apocalypse and live a good life, but through a unique method. A few people managed to observe the 900 million world layers being ravaged by calamity. Billions of worlds were destroyed, and living beings were suffering. They had a disagreement. Some of them felt that they didn't need to care about the outside world, that they should just live a good life in the worlds left behind by the gods. Others felt that this couldn't go on, that even the worlds of the gods wouldn't be able to survive, and that there were still people and matters that they cared about in the outside world. They wanted to leave the worlds of the gods and come to the 900 million world layers to fight against the apocalypse with us and save the world. But the worlds of the gods were completely isolated from the outside world. Aside from the gods themselves, no one would be able to reopen a path to return to the 900 million world layers. In the end, a brilliant person came up with a solution, which was soul reincarnation. The soul would leave the body and find a place within the 900 million world layers to live again. Only then would they be able to leave the worlds of the gods. The downside of soul reincarnation is that their memories would be temporarily sealed. All abilities would also disappear, leaving only a pure soul to be reborn in another world. Those who have undergone soul reincarnation all have a few unique characteristics. For example, because of their own wishes and a secret technique, they would be able to travel between a limited number of worlds as soon as they return, or they would have a powerful soul artifact, or they would have a unique talent that even the gods would admire. In fact, a very small number of people who have undergone soul reincarnation would be able to access their sealed memories as soon as they return. Those who have reincarnated from the worlds of the gods, we call them returnees. As they grow, they will enter a state of rapid growth. Returnees are willing to give up their stable lives in the worlds of the gods in order to join the 900 million world layers. Their character is trustworthy, and they will be our most powerful helpers. In short, the 900 million world layers welcomes returnees. Chen Wang looked at Gu Qingshan and smiled. His gaze was no longer that of a younger brother of an old friend, but rather a combatant on the same level as him. The other lords also felt the same way. Gu Qingshan doubtfully looked at Hundred Flowers Fairy. Once before, Hundred Flowers Fairy wanted to tell him about the secret of returnees, but because there were other disciples nearby, she didn't say it and changed the topic. Hundred Flowers Fairy nodded to him. That's right, Qingshan, you might be a returnee with a strong connection to Shenwu world, Xie Daoling said. The original cultivation world didn't have a name. It wasn't until after it fused with Shenwu world that people realized that a world needed a name to distinguish itself from other worlds. Cultivators decided to not change the name and simply called the fused world Shenwu world. Gu Qingshan seriously listened to Chen Wang and Xie Daoling's explanation, then took a deep breath. This doesn't seem right. I'm someone who died in battle and reincarnated in the past life. Why do they all think I'm a returnee? Lady Black Sea had already investigated my identity. Was her view correct or wrong? She's stronger than Chen Wang and the others, so she shouldn't be wrong. But I clearly remember what happened in the past life. I've never lived in any divinity's world. Right. When I was going through the novice qualification test, I heard a female voice talking to me. Who could it be? Was it Lady Black Sea? Gu Qingshan couldn't help but put his hand on the sword on his hip. The Six Paths Great Mountain Sword. Shanu can break all laws. I wonder if Shanu saw what I went through just now. But now isn't the time. I'll have to wait until I'm alone to ask Shanu. Gu Qingshan was full of doubts, but he didn't show it on his face, only a bit of surprise. This expression and emotion was exactly what he should be doing. Very well, the staff member said. Everyone has signed the Soul Covenant. Gu Qingshan's personal file has been upgraded to secret. Normal people aren't allowed to see it. He took out 3 cards, giving 2 of them to Gu Qingshan and Ning Yuechan respectively. then flicked the last one into the void of space and disappeared without a trace. The three novices have received their novice card. The cultivator novice qualification has been selected. This matter has been concluded, the staff told Xie Dao Ling's group. He then bowed to Chun Wang's group. If there's nothing else, I'll be taking my leave. Ah, you've worked hard. Everything was done perfectly, Chun Wang smiled. But how do I use this card? Ning Yuechan asked in confusion. Say your name. It will take you through billions of worlds and arrive at the outpost of the strife zones, the staff member explained. With just this card, Ning Yuechan asked in disbelief. Indeed, the outpost of the strife zones is a super-dimensional world that belongs to the 900 million World Layers Alliance. It's bound to these cards. You must report in within 1 hour, the staff member told her. Yinji looked at Ning Yuechan and greeted her. Young lady, I'm quite fond of you, so I'll give you a word of advice. Please go ahead. Senior. Ning Yuechan respectfully clasped her fist and said, Don't look down on cards, and definitely don't look down on card users. Otherwise, you'll get a headache and regret looking down on them before, Yinji told her. Chun Wang seemed to have thought of something and added, Also, you should stay away from card users. They're usually very narcissistic and insane. Furthermore, they always deal with things from their own point of view, never thinking for anyone else. The mechanical arm couldn't help but comment. After they've done what they want to do, they'll think that they've done everything they could for you. But trust me, you won't like what they've done for you, Big Bear continued. The four overlords finished speaking in one breath and looked at each other with a worried look in their eyes. Ning Yuechan was speechless. This humble one will keep that in mind, she clasped her fist. The four lords reminded her at the same time. It was clear that they'd suffered at the hands of others. Even Lord-class combatants suffered at the hands of others, so Ning Yuechan made sure to keep this in mind. Card user. I have to be careful of card users. Gu Qingshan looked at her Shifu, then at the lords and said, Then, we're going now, Xie Dao Ling carefully reminded him. Be careful when you get there. If it's too dangerous, just temporarily run away. Remember, in a place like the strife zones, as long as you can keep your life, running away isn't shameful. Your Shifu is right. Chun Wang patted his shoulder. Although you're a returnee, your memories haven't awakened yet. So be careful. If you die, everything will be over. The other lords also nodded at him. Yinji said, If there's no other choice, use the void string that Miao gave you to escape back to the Justice Iron Fist Club. Our Justice Iron Fist Club doesn't have any deserters. Gu Qingshan puffed out her chest and said, Even if it's a dead end, you're not going to run away? Yinji asked further. Gu Qingshan answered with a serious expression, Of course I'm not going to run away. Unless the club has something urgent that I have to deal with, I won't rush back, Chun Wang praised. Even if we don't talk about strength, your level of shamelessness is no less than Bali. Gu Qingshan smiled, then looked at Ning Yuechan. Ning Yuechan nodded. The two of them raised the cards in their hands at the same time. Ning Yuechan muttered. Gu Qingshan muttered. Chapter 727. The 900 Million World Layers Alliance. In the long hallway outside the Profession Affairs Division, Xie Dao Ling brought Lung Tianxing with her and bowed to the lords. Then, I'll be leaving. All right, goodbye. Chun Wang smiled and waved his hand. Please wait a moment, Yinji told her. Is there anything else? Xie Dao Ling asked. What will you be doing next? Yinji asked in return. I'll send him back first, then head to the Cultivation Alliance to take care of a few things. Then, what are the specifics? Yinji asked further. I'll think about it. See if I should organize some people to scout around the Demon Nation or fight a small-scale probing war. Xie Dao Ling felt a bit strange. Why would a lord care about the things I'm doing? Yinji reached her hand out from the dark cloak. She was holding a doll in her hand, giving it to Xie Dao Ling. This was a lifelike doll that looked exactly like Xie Dao Ling. Xie Dao Ling looked at the doll, then at Yinji. After Gu Qingshan left, Yinji once again hid herself inside the dark cloak, making it impossible for anyone to see her expression. She seemed to have become more mysterious and noble, even giving off an indescribable eeriness. Chun Wang looked at Yinji, Then it's Xie Dao Ling. Just take it. There's so many people who want it but can't get it, Chen Wang gently reminded her. Xie Dao Ling hesitantly took the doll. She put the doll on her waist, but still said thank you. Yun Ji told her, your power is currently accumulating, about to overcome the ultimate obstacle that limits humanity's potential. One day, you will become one of us. That's why it's such a crucial time. Don't go out, stay at home and cultivate. You'll be able to welcome a completely different life. Thank you for your advice. But does this doll have anything to do with your advice? Xie Dao Ling asked. Of course it does, Yin Ji replied. She chanted an incantation. The doll stood up from Xie Dao Ling's hand and spoke in a childish voice. Little girls need to take care of themselves. Following this voice, Xie Dao Ling's entire body slowly changed. Her height became shorter. Her skin became fairer. Her hands and feet became more delicate. Her dignified presence also dissipated. She turned into a little girl around 8 to 9 years old. What's going on? Xie Dao Ling's tone already carried a bit of nervousness, but it was more of a young girl's voice that sounded especially cute. She raised a hand, ready to cast a spell and fight at any time. Spiritual power surged in her body, ready to pour out along with the spell at any time. But no matter how one looked at her, she was too cute and couldn't gather any imposing manner. Don't worry, it's just temporarily changing you back to your childhood appearance. It's good for you, Chen Wang explained. Xie Dao Ling looked at him, then at Yun Ji, who was hiding under the cloak. She suddenly loosened her hand seal and said helplessly, although I don't know what happened, I can feel your kindness. Xie Dao Ling held the doll in her arms and spoke with a serious and helpless tone, looking like a beautiful lowly carved from jade. Yun Ji finally spoke up again, because you're about to break through that boundary. At that time, you will draw the attention of various organizations. Each organization will do everything in their power to recruit a new combatant with no background like yourself. Big Bear also explained, perhaps some methods of recruitment are to flatter you, but there are also other methods that contain hidden secrets, or even dark organizations that have already noticed you might use some despicable methods to obtain your loyalty. That's why you have to bring this doll with you. She will be able to conceal you from the mystical fate, as long as she is by your side. When you break through, no organization will be able to find out about your world, nor will they be able to find you. This mystic-type technique will have a side effect. That is, your body will temporarily return to its childhood state. Very well, that's all. You should return to your own world for now. Don't go out for the next few days until you've successfully broken through and stabilized your state. Xie Dao Ling seriously listened and was about to say something when someone lightly tapped her shoulder. Yun Ji. At some point, Yun Ji had appeared in front of her and tapped her shoulder. Xie Dao Ling instantly disappeared from the 900 million world layers alliance. Chen Wang walked up and patted Lung Tianxing's shoulder. Don't lose heart. Go back and do your best. Lung Tianxing also disappeared. He was also sent back to Shenwu World. The mechanical arm had remained silent until now, then muttered in a low voice, what a boring mysticism. Mysticism isn't boring. Turning a cultivation leader who was about to mature into an 8 to 9 years old little girl. Isn't that quite interesting? Chen Wang smiled, but he also turned to Yin Ji and spoke with a serious tone. You seem a bit off today. I just want to protect her after all. I can already smell the scent of death. Yin Ji replied. She might die. The mechanical arm asked with interest. Yin Ji replied, not her, but us. Big Bear was in disbelief. That's right, there is something that is currently rushing towards us. We all have a certain chance of dying. So in order to prevent her from breaking through without any of us to protect her, I have to help her in advance, Yin Ji said. As soon as she said that, a sharp and hurried whistle resounded. The rhythmic sound of a whistle resounded across the entire 900 million world layers alliance. Everyone on alert? Chen Wang was surprised. Are you kidding me? Everyone on alert. All departments are to stop their work and prepare for battle. What exactly happened? Big Bear shouted. Their expressions changed as they all took out a newspaper from their pockets. Lines of text and pictures quickly appeared on the blank newspaper. The picture was of a machine gun. The gun had gone through some kind of unknown process, but it had already been completely dismantled, the entire gun, but was broken. The gun barrel was bent, its parts were scattered all over the ground. The headline of the newspaper was written with 2 lines of text, frowny face, the Spire Guardian team that explored God Institute has been completely wiped out. Before I die, I issue my final warning. This is the most terrifying and eerie entity in the 900 million world layers. It must be destroyed immediately. Immediately. Everyone was still staring at the newspaper, unable to regain their senses. As Lord-class combatants, they had gone through a lot, but at this moment, an invisible sense of sorrow enveloped them. The machine gun is dead, Chen Wang muttered in a low voice. That's right, this is unbelievable. Even with its strength, it died just like that, the mechanical arm replied. Above their heads, a loud female voice began to resound across the entire 900 million world layers alliance. Attention all personnel. Attention all personnel. War has come. The world layer where God Institute is located has left its original space and is heading toward the 27th world layer to our south. Everyone, please prepare for battle. I repeat, everyone, please prepare for battle. The 4 overlords listened to him quietly. Lady Blacksea herself issued a warning. It seems the situation is very urgent. The 27th world layer to our south. So close to us, what's there? The mechanical arm asked. The Spire Keeper Association's HQ, Chen Wang replied. At this point, 2 staff members ran up to the 4 of them. Sirs, an emergency meeting of the higher-ups is about to begin. Please attend immediately. They respectfully said. Very well, go find the others. We'll be right there, Chen Wang said. Understood. The 2 staff members left. Now that there was no one else around, Chen Wang turned to Yunji with a solemn expression never seen before. He spoke with a broken and low voice. Lord of Mist, protector of mysterious fate, Cloud Lady of Calamity of the Infinite Worlds, esteemed Lady Serena, I now formally ask you, in the secret you protect, in the face of death, do we still have any hope of survival? Yunji's entire body was hidden inside the black cloak, enveloped by the black fog that suddenly manifested. When Chen Wang formally asked her, 2 voices came from inside the cloak. A cold and emotionless voice, as well as Yunji's original voice, responded one after the other. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.